Ladies and gentlemen, it's your guy, rap star boxing knowledge, all the way from the other side of the pond, bringing that energy for the sport that we love, second to nobody. Boxing, the sweet science of boxing, you can't beat it. All the subscribers, to everybody, respect to you for tuning in. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to smash that like button and do all that great stuff. Subscribe to the channel if you like what you hear, because all you're going to hear here is the truth and the facts. And I'm going to say it as it is. Over the time that the time has gone on in the sport of boxing today, if we're going to name somebody who's a gangster of the sport, and especially after all the shit that's gone down in the heavyweight boxing scene, then I'm going to say it. Rapstar is going to say it. That Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King, is the gangster of boxing today. That everybody didn't give him a chance to beat the man in Deontay Wilder, the most destructive puncher in the world coming out of United States of America. And we got to keep this real. that at the end of the day, I have never seen so many people scared of one man, just one fucking man, the Gypsy King. The Gypsy King has shook the world. The Gypsy King has scarred many of those minority boxing fans. The Gypsy King is in people's head. Let me just say this. The Gypsy King has took over boxing, and people don't like to admit it. People just don't want to admit what the Gypsy King has done for boxing. If you talk about boxing today, you have to speak about Tyson Fury. If you don't speak about Tyson Fury, you're not in the sport of boxing. At the end of the day, this is the most vocal self-promoter which is in boxing today, is Tyson, the Gypsy King Fury. And listen, we're just going to keep this shit real out here. How Tyson Fury changed the sport single-handedly. People don't want to acknowledge this. People don't want to know the truth because they hate this man. This is the Scarface. This is the man himself today. This is Don Corleone. This is the guy. This is that guy, Tyson, the Gypsy King Fury. Now, I know Rapstar are going to get a lot of hate. Rapstar always gets hate when he talks about Tyson Fury. I wonder why. I wonder whenever I keep it real about the Gypsy King, people hate my channel for some reason. It's like I'm doing a crime. But we got to keep this shit real. This man, which nobody even thought, he doesn't even look like a heavyweight. He doesn't even fucking look like a heavyweight. But he took over. And when they didn't even give him a chance against Klitschko, they never even gave him a chance against Vladimir Klitschko, bro. They said this guy's just going in for a paycheck. And he proved the world wrong. Even with a boring fight, the man went in his fucking backyard. Remember that. Tyson Fury went to Klitschko's backyard. And he was meant to lose. He wasn't meant to win that fight. But he turned it around in his own country. Yeah? He turned it around in his own country. And let's remember the story correctly. After all the bullshit, Tyson Fury never got his accolades for beating the lineal champion in Klitschko. Even till today, people are in denial. People are in denial when it comes to boxing, when it comes to Tyson, the Gypsy King Fury. They hate this guy because they don't think this is the kind of guy that represents the sport. Tyson Fury doesn't even have a six-pack. Tyson Fury comes in as a flobby man. He doesn't even look like a heavyweight, but he is the gangster of boxing. The way that all these channels and all of America, the minority Americans, when he came over to America, nobody gave him a chance against the destructive Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder is one of the most hardest punchers coming out of boxing today. Deontay Wilder is the most hardest concussive puncher in history of boxing. Ain't nobody wanted to fuck with Deontay Wilder. Even when Deontay Wilder, everybody was in the awe of this man. This man is a special breed. Let's not take away nothing from Deontay Wilder. See, people downplay Deontay Wilder just because Tyson Fury beat the fuck out of him. People hate on Deontay Wilder now, and they say that he wasn't the best because Tyson Fury came and demolished this guy. But let's remember clearly, there's only one Deontay Wilder. There's only one fucking bronze bomber. And ain't nobody was going to fuck with this man. Regardless, even if you're beating him, he will knock you the fuck out. That's who Deontay Wilder was. And everybody downplays him now because of the gangster Gypsy Fury. When Gypsy Fury came to America, bruv, he came to America to Deontay Wilder's backyard. Ain't nobody gave him a chance. Ain't nobody gave him a chance. But this is who the Gypsy King became. He's the biggest name in boxing today. Say what the fuck you want, ladies and gentlemen. Tyson Fury is one of the biggest names in boxing today. But let me just start from where this all started from and how the Gypsy King became a big superstar overnight. How the Gypsy King life was fucked up and the man was ready to die. The man was overweight and he came and changed this world around. He took over the sport of boxing by himself and people hate it. I've seen it. People hate it, man. People don't like it that the Gypsy King is who he is today in the sport. But before I start cooking and I'll start showing you some pictures and start showing you how this happened with the Gypsy King, Let me see who's in the chat for Rap Star Boxing Knowledge. Yo, we got Jumbo Slice, man. What's happening, Jimbo Slice, man? Hope you're doing good, my brother. Yes, man. We got Junior Lopez. Junior Lopez, man. What's happening, bruv? I hope you're doing really well as well. We got D Calico in the building. The one and only D Calico. What's happening, D? Yo, man. We got Dimitar in the building. And we got D Hodges. What's happening, D Hodges, my brother? You all right there, my bro? We got Carlos Mendoza. What's happening, Carlos, man? Everything cool with you, bro? We got Peter in the building. We got Abe in the building. Abe says, the usual crybaby Americans crying robbery because Keyshawn lost a close fight. Hey, man, that's another subject, bruv. Keyshawn Davis, all respect to him for going out there to represent his country. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, there's no hating on the man. Respect to Keyshawn Davis for trying his best. But the guy he come across, Abe, you got to remember that. That guy's an unbeaten guy. He's only lost once. Cruz is another level when it comes to the amateur fighting. Cuba's always dominated when it comes to amateur boxing, mate. So you can't really hate on Keyshawn Davis for that, bro. Look, at the end of the day, it is what it is. And the way that it started, bro, it was in a different platform. Give me a second. Give me a second, guys. Let me just show you what happened. It started from here, man. When Tyson Fury was sitting back and, you know, just getting his life organized, coming back into the game after all the bullshit that happened in his life. And most of it was self-inflicted. Most of that shit was on Tyson Fury himself. But at the end of the day, these two never got it on. Anthony Joshua, as much as I like him as a heavyweight boxer, yeah, he one of the best ever heavyweights at the moment that we've got in boxing. But Anthony Joshua never conquered America. And Anthony Joshua, he was meant to fight Deontay Wilder. And both of these guys never got it on. Both of these guys never made it happen. When Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua started pouncing around, going back and forth, blaming each other for not getting the fight, only one man stepped up. Say what the fuck you want. One man stepped up, and it was Tyson the King, Gypsy Fury. Tyson, when he come back, ain't nobody gave him a chance. But when these two didn't want to make it happen, bruv, they didn't want to see this fight generate. There was a lot of bullshit going on between Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. Both of these guys never got it on. And that's why the Gypsy King stepped up. And Gypsy King, when he stepped up, like I said, people never even gave him a chance. When Gypsy King came back, ain't nobody gave him a chance. And I'll tell you why. Just let's not forget why people want to seem to forget where Gypsy King came from. And just remember, Gypsy King looked like this. Remember that. Tyson Fury looked like that. That's how Tyson Fury looked when he was coming back in the scene of boxing. When Tyson Fury let himself go, ain't nobody thought that this man's going to come back like an OG. Ain't nobody thought that he's going to step up while Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder going back and forth and not making it happen. So you want to hate on a man which comes back and shows the boxing world how it's done. That he still stepped up against the hardest puncher in the world in Deontay Wilder. He still took a chance to come over to America and show people why he's the Gypsy King. Ain't nobody give him no credit for that. Come on, people. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it honest. Nobody wants to give Tyson Fury the credit because Anthony Joshua didn't do that. Deontay Wilder hasn't gone to another country to beat another champion. But when the Gypsy King came back from death, and ain't nobody thought that this man is going to come back and deal with Deontay Wilder, especially in the way that he did. Let's keep it real. At the end of the day, he shocked the boxing world. People want to forget that he was a cherry pick. He was just a fight there for Deontay Wilder to look stupid against. But the man changed it around, came like an OG, and people don't want to give this man his flowers. That's how toxic boxing is today. That boxing today don't want to give the man who's done everything in the sport and changed the game around single-handedly, but they don't like the way that man fights. They don't like the way the man looks. They don't relate with the man because he's a gypsy. But the Gypsy King ain't going nowhere. And I'm going to just keep it real. If Gypsy King beats Deontay Wilder the third time, what the fuck does that mean, bro? If Gypsy King beats Deontay Wilder the third fucking time, what would that mean? Let me know. You tell me. Because at the end of the day, if he does that, then what? Is he not going to get his flowers again? If Gypsy King comes and beats Deontay Wilder the third time, what's going to be the excuses? Because the way that they spoke about the Gypsy King, he's only become an OG. Is this the man who put egg weights on him? This is the man who came to America and cheated. This is the man who took over boxing, yeah? And you still didn't have no proof. You didn't get no fucking proof. It was all just talk. Yeah? So that's made Gypsy King look like a gangster of boxing today. Because ain't no one can touch him. He's still coming to America right now. He's still coming to America right now to come for Deontay Wilder. And if he beats him the third time, if he beats him in this trilogy now, I want to know what's the fucking excuses. Come on, let's keep this shit real. What bullshit are they going to come out with next? It's going to be another hilarious situation. Because at the end of the day, if anybody's made Gypsy King look like a gangster, if anybody's made Tyson Fury look like the baddest man on the planet, it's Deontay Wilder and all the fanboys. Because they have never been as much scared fanboys or channels or people which have been making up so much accusations about him for winning this fight against Deontay Wilder. People seem to be just in a delusional world. Anything and everything just to get away from the credit of what the Gypsy King deserves. See, when you talk about the Gypsy King, people get pissed off. People don't want to relate to the Gypsy King when it comes to boxing. They don't want to give him the credit, but really and truly, deep down in your heart, he come back and done something that you never believed he did. Was gonna do. He beat the man in the lineal champion that you never gave him credit for. This is actually one of the baddest men in boxing right now. And he ain't getting his flowers. I wonder why. I wonder why Tyson Fury don't get his accolades for being where he is in boxing today. Because right now, he's controlling boxing. Right now, he's the A-side. And the ball's in his court. It's the Gypsy King. So people can make up what they want. At the end of the day, this is the man who right now is moving like a gangster of boxing. Because everybody made every accusation about him. Everybody downplayed this guy. Never give him no accolades for what he's done. But he's still running boxing single-handedly. That's where he is right now in boxing. People can say what the fuck they want, but I'm gonna keep it real. I think Tyson Fury goes out there to beat Deontay Wilder worse. And I think Tyson Fury is that kind of guy who's gonna come back and he's gonna beat Anthony Joshua. I just see that in this guy. You know what I mean? I'm keeping the shit real. I ain't no fanboy. I don't talk about fighters like I'm a fanboy, but I do believe Tyson Fury's got everybody's number. And he will go down as the OG of boxing. I don't think nobody can beat this guy. This guy's mentally a bit crazy as well. He don't give a fuck. He's got that wild personality. He says it as it is. He don't tell you what you want to hear, though. He'll tell you something that you won't believe you're going to hear. That's who Tyson Fury is in the boxing world today. I just think people hate on this guy maybe because he comes from a different side of the world. Maybe because you don't relate with him because he's a gypsy. Maybe you don't like him because he did all that controversial shit after Klitschko and he left boxing and he did just do some bullshit. He did, but you can't take away the accolades for what the man's achieved. You can't take away the bullshit what the man has as skills in boxing. This guy has amazing skills and he don't get no accolades for those skills because people look at him as a person. Boxing is a sport where fans nowadays look at you as a person than actually what kind of fighter you are. Let's remember that. They're more interested as a person, if they relate to you, than even if you're a great fighter. It doesn't matter. Boxing has those kind of fans. And that's just facts. Yo, give me a sec, guys. Peter says, means that Fury will let go on to fight Joshua very well. Yeah, that's right. If Fury beats Deontay Wilder, bruv, yeah, Peter, if Fury beats Deontay Wilder, my friend, at the end of the day, if he goes out there for Anthony Joshua, this guy's achieved the best in our era. That's right. And you know and I know that Tyson Fury deserves his accolades. At the end of the day, the people don't want to give him his flowers. It's because at the end of the day, they don't relate with this guy. They wanted Deontay Wilder to win because Deontay Wilder looks like that power machine. Deontay Wilder looks like that guy. He was knocking everybody the fuck out. And when Tyson Fury came and changed the world, people still are in denial today. They're the most in denial fans are in boxing right now. So yeah. Carlos Mendoza says Fury equals warrior. Wilder equals excuse maker. And that's what I'm saying. Tyson Fury right now, he is like the warrior of boxing, bro. And people still don't give him his accolades. The man right now is running the show. Deontay Wilder made every excuse in the book. Tyson Fury, when he saw him, what happened? What happened, bro? Let me show you what happened. Let me show everybody. Come on, Carlos. You remember this, bro. What happened? This is how much of a fucking gangster Tyson Fury must be in boxing, bro. That Deontay Wilder put his headphones on. He didn't want no part of Fury. When Tyson Fury came in front of him, after all that bullshit. Come on, people. This is happening right now in the era of boxing, right in front of our eyes. Deontay Wilder didn't even want to get mentally involved with this guy. He put his headphones on. He checked out. Tyson Fury looking like a gangster out here. Tyson Fury looking like King Kong out there, man. Yes, he is. You can't lie about that. There's no hating on that. The way that they made it look, Deontay Wilder looking weak and Tyson Fury looking like the godfather when it comes to boxing, especially in a heavyweight scene. It just is what it is. You go speak to the professionals, they give Tyson Fury his credit because they know that Tyson Fury is that guy. You know what I'm saying? He's a special fighter. It is what it is. And remember, you heard this here first, that I'm the first guy to vouch for Fury. I vouched for Fury a long time ago when people were hating on me then. And the same man, I'm vouching for him again, that Tyson Fury will deal with Deontay Wilder the third time. Even though Deontay Wilder has that one punch, it ain't good enough for Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury's worked him out. And once he deals with Deontay Wilder, he better get those flowers from American, especially those American minority channels. I want to see the Americans stand up to Tyson Fury after that, especially those American minority fanboys who've been hating on him, his family, and everything else. You got to give the man his accolades. Say what the fuck you want. But what did Deontay Wilder do when he saw Fury, bro? Come on. The man was capping. He didn't want no part of Tyson Fury, bruv. He had his fucking Dr. Dre beats on, listening to his music. He checked out, bro. Because he knows Tyson Fury, the real OG, when it comes to the verbal battle, the mental battle, and now the physical battle. It just is what it is. But give me a sec. Troy Graham. What's happening, Troy? Tyson Fury is running away from boxing, ran away from Undisputed, ran away from the COVID lies, runs his mouth, but never runs towards the ring. Well, Troy Graham, if that's what Tyson Fury's done here, bro, then he's done a good fucking job of running away then, hasn't he? Because he ran away from Klitschko, didn't he? But he still beat him before he went missing. Remember that, bro. At least give the man his credit that he went to the man's country and dealt with Klitschko. So, Troy, I understand there's the hate. And already, when I started the fucking stream, I said that Tyson Fury ain't going to get his accolades for the shit that he's done. But you can't take away from what he's achieved and what he's done in the ring. You just can't take that away, bro. I'm keeping it real. Tyson Fury beats the fuck out of these guys, Troy. At the end of the day, you hating on him because of his personal shit. Now let's go to the undisputed. Now you already know about mental illness. We don't need to go there with Tyson Fury right now after the Klitschko bullshit. But Troy, if you want to talk about it, yeah, let's go real over here then, Troy. Let's talk about the undisputed. Who the fuck was running undisputed? Tyson Fury can't run the whole undisputed by himself. At the end of the day, as much as he wants the Joshua fight, there's business needs to take place. There's promoters there. There's management there. There's attorneys over there. There's judges involved. Tyson Fury don't run them all single-handedly, does he? He's an OG when he comes to the ring. It's not like he didn't want to come to the ring. He already came to the ring twice, Troy. He came to your fucking backyard. He come to America, bro. So stop capping out here, mate. Tyson Fury come to your country and took over the Bronze Bomber. He dealt with the most hardest puncher. The biggest fighter coming out of America after Mike Tyson in the heavyweight. That's who Deontay Wilder is. So don't talk shit. He come and dealt with Deontay Wilder. Twice. Not once. Fucking twice. Why the fuck is he going to want to run away from him in a third time? That will be the easiest motherfucking fight, bro. Come on. That will be the easiest fight for Tyson Fury. He'd rather fight Deontay Wilder than fight anybody else because he knows how to beat him. And now you're saying that the man's running away. See, this is where the hate comes from, Troy. This is where the fucking hate comes from. Give the man his flowers for what he's done already, bro. You understand? Stop hating on the guy all the time. Yo, Repit says, Rapstar salute. I got Fury beating AJ. Hey, man, you got anything to fucking say, you can say it, bro. That's what it is. You got Fury beating AJ, and that's cool, bro. But at the end of the day, like I said, when I ever start a live with Tyson Fury, ain't not many people interested. It doesn't feel like people want to talk about the Fury, the Gypsy King. You know what I'm saying? They're waiting for him to lose. But they're unfortunate. And if you've got anything to say, whether it's Troy, whether it's this guy, whether it's a hater, there's a fucking link. I'm only on for a short time, bro. You got anything to say, and you're saying I'm not saying anything which is the truth, then come here and tell me. I ain't ducking no smoke with nobody. And not especially when it comes to Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury ain't ducking that smoke, bro. At the end of the day, yeah, he's done some duck moves. It looks like he's ducked. But the man has a mental illness, so you can't prove nothing. You can't prove to me that the man didn't go crazy. Look at the fucking weight. Look at his weight. Look at how he let himself mentally go. So, of course, when he came back, ain't nobody gave him a chance. Ain't nobody thought he was going to come back and deal with Deontay Wilder like an OG. He slapped Deontay Wilder left and right. He's made the whole Deontay Wilder fanboys go crazy. This is one man who's destroyed most of those minority boxing fans. They've made channels and lives about Tyson Fury. People are speaking about Tyson Fury in the morning, in the evening, when it comes to the American fanboys. So don't tell me that, oh, Tyson Fury is a duck. At the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned, he came there twice to beat Deontay Wilder. So if you're going to tell me he's a duck, then you know you got to keep it real out here. At the end of the day, he didn't have the undisputed fight in his fucking in his hand. It wasn't controlled by Tyson Fury. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, you got to give the man his credit. He beat the fuck out of the man, which was the baddest man in the planet. And that's Deontay Wilder. Let's stop the cap, bro. Demeter says, right now, on for the movies. It's about the documentary about Klitschko brothers. Yeah, man. The Klitschko brothers, they were running the show. The Klitschko brothers have been running the show for years until Tyson Fury come and demolish the Klitschko. And people don't want to talk about that. They don't want to. If that was any other fighter who did to Klitschko what Fury did, man, the man would be a legend. The man to be a legend. It's just that Tyson Fury fucked up after the Klitschko fight. Shit went crazy. He had some personal affairs. But when he come back, and he destroyed the show. When he come back, he took over boxing. At the end of the day, right now, we're talking about Fury. Right now, the biggest fight still coming up is Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. So we can't take, if you talk about boxing, bruv, Fury's put himself right back up there. And that's just it. But there's too many haters, bro. There's just too many fucking haters who won't give Tyson Fury his credit. And I'm here to change that. I'm saying, yeah, Tyson Fury got a lot of bullshit. Yeah, Tyson Fury did a lot of fucking personal bullshit with his life, with when he fucked up, he got mentally unwell, but he came back and he come back much stronger. So I ain't going to take that away from Tyson Fury. Deontay Wilder's got some mental issues. Loads of fighters have got some bullshit. So at the end of the day, ain't nobody motherfucking perfect out here. But let's go to the chat. What's happening, Rep It? How you feeling, bro?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Salute to Feliciano. Salute to Dematar. Salute to Troy Graham. Salute to everybody in the chat. Witness the hoax. UK 47 boxing. Everybody in the chat, man. And the thing is this, right? I see a lot of hate for Fury. I see a lot of hate for a lot of guys, right? But the thing about Fury is this: you got to respect him because he's never taken a loss, and he's taken all on the top guys, right? Klitschko, guys who were feared, right? Klitschko, no one wanted to fight him, right? He went over there and beat him in Germany, if I'm not mistaken, right? Wilder, no one wanted to fight him. Anthony Joshua, I think, was half dug in him. And what ended up happening? One guy did. Fury fought him, beat him. You know what I'm saying? So you got to give him respect for that. And another thing is this: I'm one of the few guys who's excited to see Fury and Wilder in the ring. Why? Because I like two guys who hate each other to fight each other. I don't understand why people are shitting on the Wilder and Fury fight if it's two guys who hate each other. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that what us fight fans want to see? Two guys who hate each other beat the
Nope.
shit out of each other. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, bro. And at the end of the day, one thing I don't understand is people still remember Tyson Fury for fucking up. What about what he's accomplished since then? You know what I'm saying? What about what he's done single-handedly in boxing that the whole fucking boxing world right now recognizes Tyson Fury again? We don't really talk about that. It's like we don't want him in the sport. There's a lot of fans, they don't really want him in the sport. Do you agree with that, Ripit?
I kind of agree with that, but it's only a certain. I think it's mostly the Wilder radicals. I think, of course, a lot of people feel some type of way about Fury. I don't understand the hate, why he gets a lot of hate. I'm not a fan. I'm not like a super fan of either, but I like guys who get in the ring and beat the shit out of each other, right? Fury is a fighter. That's one thing people don't realize. He's getting in there for entertainment. The thing that I respect a lot about Fury is this, right? He had this whole style going, which was a slick heavyweight boxer, right? He did Klitschko the way the tactic he used on Klitschko was something that we can go back in history and say, wow, that's tremendous how he hugged. He boxed, hugged, and did a tactic that was unseen to this era. You know what I'm saying? He had to go back to the old school to do that type of tactic. What I'm saying is he transitioned and turned into a puncher. You know what I'm saying? He turned into a killer. Think about it. How do you go from being a boxer to transition in one training camp with Crunk Jim to go and attack and go forward and knock out a guy who had never been knocked out? Mind you, guys, let's think about this, right? I rate all the chins in the heavyweight division. I rate the top three chins as follows. Fury and Andy Ruiz have the top two, right? I had Wilder up there before. I had him as the top three chin guy too until Fury beat him down to the pulp. He had never been stopped. Wilder had never been stopped in any fight, man. And to this day, there's only two of the top five heavyweights who haven't been stopped, and that's Andy and Fury.
Yeah, hey Troy. I mean, Troy, I see you writing some stuff out there and you're not giving Fury his flowers. I want to know why you don't give Fury his accolades and
Right?
what he's achieved as a boxer.
What did he do? He beat Klitschko in the worst fight ever,
Go
ever,
ahead.
and he outboxed the guy that can't box. I mean, much respect to him on beating two top guys, but the Klitschko fight is not memorable whatsoever. And I cannot. I didn't even. It was the worst fight ever. The Deontay Wilder fight, he did beat him twice. I don't care if they said it was a draw or not. He did beat him twice, but other than that, what has he done? He's a charlatan at best, a gypsy charlatan.
Yeah, but Troy,
Yes.
you can't take away from the man, yeah, what he's achieved in the ring.
Yeah, I
At the
said
end
he
of the
beat
day,
Klitschko and Wilder.
single-handedly, no, but Troy, he went in there and he beat him in his own country. And also, you say it's a boring fight. Some of Mayweather fights were boring.
I didn't
Even you
say
look at
boring, rap
Mayweather, the
star.
greatest ever. His
I said
fights were fucking boring, bro. So
absolutely,
you
but I
can't
said it
just
was
sit
the
here, man.
worst
You
fight
can't just fucking
ever.
sit here and say
Worst fight
that
ever.
Tyson Fury was a boring fight. Now let me ask you this:
I,
He came back. He came back and gave you an exciting fight. He came back and changed the odds with the hardest destructive puncher in the world in Deontay Wilder. He
I
came
wasn't.
back and destroyed the Bronze Bomber.
Okay, go ahead.
So you're
Yeah, I
telling me,
wasn't surprised he beat Wilder at all because he's a better boxer than Wilder. I wasn't surprised he beat Wilder. Didn't surprise me at all.
Troy, now you're capping a bit though, because
No, no, listen. The man could always box. He's a big man and he could box. Wilder don't have the fundamentals, so there's no way that he was going to outbox this guy. There's no way he's just going to catch him with one punch like that because he came in prepared for that. So I'm not surprised that he beat him twice at all.
okay, well, that's your view, right, as a hardcore boxing fan. But 90% of the casuals, a lot of the hardcores, they saw Tyson Fury let himself go. They saw a man who was a shell of himself. They saw a
Yeah.
man who was not mentally all there. But he came back, and he came back like an OG. Even when he went down, even when he went down in the first fight, bro, the man came back like the Undertaker. Ain't nobody thought he was going to step up. When Deontay Wilder hits you, not hits you once, Deontay Wilder gave him 2 clean shots. 2 fucking clean shots, Troy. And he came back from that and started pushing the gas. He was beating him in the 12th round, bro. In the round that he got knocked down. Most people would never see daylight. Some people would probably never even see a boxing ring after that punch. So don't tell me Deontay Wilder isn't that guy. He just
No,
can't be that guy
no. To
against
be very
Tyson
honest with
Fury.
you, I'm a rap star. Be very honest with you. I thought because he was coming off the layoff and the two nobodies that he fought, one being a cruiserweight and the other guy being a guy that was knocked out 4 times in X amount of fights, that Wilder was going to clip him and stop him, right? But when he got hit, I thought the fight was actually over. The fact that he came in, he lost the weight, he outboxed Wilder. I was impressed by that, but I'll never label him as great because I don't see him as great. He's just not great. He's very good. He's very good for these times, but great? Nah,
Yeah,
don't
but
see it.
Troy, this is the era of boxing that we're living in today, right? We're in 2021, and this is the boxing that we're at right now. So don't tell me that Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua ain't the great fighters that we got today. Don't sit there and start comparing these guys to Muhammad Ali and all that stuff again, because we're in 2021, Troy. We're not in fucking 1970 fucking 5, are we? Right?
I didn't compare anybody to Ali.
So don't sit here and start being that guy. You know what, rap star? Deontay Wilder isn't that great. That's downplaying who Deontay Wilder is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Yes,
No,
it
but
is.
rap star, listen. I don't have to compare anybody to XYZ for them to be great. You show and prove that once you walk in the ring, and anybody can see that Wilder is not a great fighter. Fury is above average at best, but great? No,
Okay, what do you
no.
think about this, Repit? You think that in today's boxing, these are the fighters we got? We got Deontay Wilder, who's got, they say he's saying now he's not a great fighter. But Deontay Wilder also been able to deal with fighters which were beating him with a single jab and a right punch. At the end of the day, you can't tell me Deontay Wilder doesn't have great attributes. Yeah? You can't tell me Deontay Wilder doesn't have a chin, because he does have a chin as well. He has a heart of a fucking lion too. So now Troy wants to tell me, my American brother over there, the reason why you're not giving Fury much credit is because he thought Deontay Wilder ain't shit. Like, he ain't that good
I
anyway.
never said anything like that.
Well,
No,
what did you say
I
then,
didn't say
bro?
that.
You're
I
saying that
said,
Deontay Wilder ain't good.
okay. No, I said this. I said Fury's a much better boxer than Wilder, and Wilder doesn't have the fundamentals, so I'm not surprised that he beat him twice. I don't give a damn about the draw. He beat him twice. And what I said was Fury at best is above average, but to label him as great, I would never do that. Somebody else could do that, but I won't. No, I've
Okay,
seen better.
okay, fair point for you. What do you think, Repit, that these guys are not great? They're just above average. But what are we watching boxing today for then? Go ahead, Repit. All right, come back. I can't hear him, bro. Now,
I think I scared him
my
off.
thing is this, though, Troy. Before, you know what I mean? I don't want to sound rude or nothing, but you do sound like one of those old guys, yeah, that are not giving the credit to the fighters, you know what I mean, of today's generation. You sound like a guy that not understanding that the fighters of today are not living on the fighters of yesterday. This is our era. Anthony Joshua is a 3-weight world champion. You got to give the man credit. There's thousands of fighters trying to do what he does, but he's got there. Now, Tyson Fury, he did what he had to do. He's gone to a man's backyard and he beat the lineal champion. Now, regardless if it's boring for you, Troy, that's your opinion, my son. Right? But the man did what it has to be done. He defined all odds. But now, oh no, that wasn't a great fight because I didn't enjoy it. It was a bit boring. That's got nothing to do with it, Troy. If the fight is boring, it doesn't matter. He still won.
Let me say this, Raps. I didn't say the fight was boring. I said it's the worst fight I've ever seen. I'm talking about Klitschko and Fury. Now, you actually mentioned something. You mentioned, I sound like an old guy, and this is your era. I got a question for you, right? Am I still alive? So, wouldn't this be my era as well?
What do you mean?
I'm still alive. So, wouldn't this be my era as well? How is this not my era? I'm still alive. Right?
Yeah, but you're not giving the credit to the fighters of this era.
No. I'm not giving them the credit you want me to give them.
You sound a bit sour about the fighters of today's era, bro.
Too sweet to be sour, to quote Julian Jackson. But no, I'm just not giving credit you want me to give them. I'm giving them the credit that I believe that they should get. I don't see great fighters when I see Fury and Wilder. I see a man he deserves his respect because he did come back from what he came back from, and nobody had him beaten. I certainly didn't. But when he came back, I boxed Wilder the first time, and got himself into great shape and all that. So I'll give him credit for that. But great me, I'm a standard flyer for. I said it a little higher.
Right, can you hear me, Troy?
You all are just in this way where like you telling me about different eras. I've been blessed enough to see what real greatness is when it comes to the sport of boxing. So I'm not comparing yesterday to today. I'm simply saying that I've seen better and I know what better is. If you haven't seen better and you just don't know what better is, that is just your view and knowledge of what greatness is these two right here. But to me, not so much.
All right, now I've got a question for you, bro. All right, can you hear me, yeah?
Oh, I can hear you.
All right. At the end of the day, right, you say that's what your opinion is. What are you saying to me about the people which have been in the sport, which have got first hands in the sport, which their view means probably everything to boxing? When you talk about people in the professional world like Emmanuel Stewart, what did Emmanuel Stewart say about Tyson Fury when he was alive? When he saw him? When he saw a 6'9" guy moving around in the ring, jabbing the way he jabs and knows how to get away from danger and the fast reflexes. What did you tell me about Tyson Fury then when a man like Emmanuel Stewart said himself openly, and it's all out there, bro, that Emmanuel Stewart said that this is a special fighter. He will be one day a great. I say that this man's definitely going to be a world champion. So are we not? What was he looking at?
He said the same thing about Wilder, right?
I'm asking you as a trainer. Emmanuel Stewart saw something in these fighters when they were coming up. When they were coming up 10-0, 11-0, bro. They weren't even known in the fucking game. Ain't nobody knew who Tyson Fury was. Yeah? But when this man turned around and said that this is going to be a special fighter, how come you don't understand? How come you don't get that this guy does have some great attributes? That this
I tell you what I do get.
6'9". This is a guy at 6'9". The way he moves and stuff, it doesn't look like there's many fighters who would have been able to deal with this guy. Why is it that you can't get your head around a little bit of that conversation there?
I tell you what I do get, and much respect to the brother. He's transitioned on. I can tell you that just like me, he has eyes and sees what he sees, and he's entitled to his opinion just like I'm entitled to mine. He's been around the sport way longer than me, and so he's much more educated than I am. But his opinion is his opinion. I'll never dispute his opinion because that's his opinion. But I have my own opinion, and I'm not backing down from it. I just don't see great here, man. I don't see any great heavyweights. I see very good heavyweights.
Mm.
I see above average heavyweights. I see people that don't have the fundamentals. But great, as much as I like White, he's not a great heavyweight. As much as I respect Joshua, he's not a great heavyweight. He's very good for this time, but he's not great either.
All right, let's go to the chat. So this is your opinion, right? Witness the host says, I think Tyson Fury is one of the greatest heavyweights of all time already. Some people actually recognize his skills, Troy. Some people recognize that this guy does have those skills that people are running away from Tyson Fury's skill set. You get what I'm saying? You can laugh. You can
Who's
laugh.
running away from him?
No, but I want you to laugh today. I want you to laugh at this. If Fury comes back and wins the trilogy in more convincing fashion, even, and then goes and beats Anthony Joshua, does he not become a great for you?
Oh yeah, for this era, if he goes and beats Wilder, sure, that's what's expected if he's in shape and focus. If he beats Joshua and beats White, then guess what? In this era, he'll be considered the greatest heavyweight of this era. Sure, no doubt. Still he won't be a great fighter to me, but he'll be the greatest heavyweight of this era. Sure, absolutely.
Well, I'm going to put it this way, son. I reckon Tyson Fury, that you just like people never gave him the chance before, they don't understand his skill set. They don't realize he can adapt to many kind of fighting styles. He can fight in southpaw, orthodox. He's a much, much bigger man, knows how to lean on you, knows how to move with that distance and then come in and out. Now he believes in his power. I think you're going to be in for it. I think one day you're going to be calling Tyson Fury a great. If he achieves more than what I think he's going to achieve now, then I think you might think, Troy, you'll come back on my channel and say, you know what, Rapstar, I was wrong. He's got some really good skill set, and I think he's one of the greatest. I think you just don't want to agree with it now.
No, you know what, Rapstar? I saw the second fight with Fury and Chisora. That's when he turned southpaw. He looked damn good in that fighting southpaw. I was impressed with that because I didn't know he could fight southpaw at the time, but that was an impressive damn fight to stay southpaw against the guy that just comes and comes and comes like that. Because southpaw is a counterpuncher, and when you're fighting a guy that's so aggressive and Derek, you really don't have a lot of time to counter. But he did it, so that was damn impressive. But I'm still not calling him great. I've seen better.
Is Mike Tyson a great for you?
Yes.
Mike Tyson's a great for you, right?
Yeah.
Of course, he's a great for me too. But you know when
now
Mike
ask
Tyson,
me why.
let me ask you this though. When Mike Tyson became a great for you, yeah, and I'm gonna ask the subscribers, everybody else, he became a great for you, and when he was winning, right? What about when he lost?
No, Rapstar.
No. Look how Mike Tyson lost. He lost against fighters which were not big names. He lost against fighters which were not in the Tyson Fury number 1 or number 2 in the rankings. Now, when they were in the rankings, like Buster Douglas, these fighters were not the best. They were not out there to beat the guy to beat Mike Tyson. So let's be honest. You respected Mike Tyson, but Mike Tyson, who did he fight? He fought old Larry Holmes. Now, I love Mike Tyson, but let's start comparing them. Let's start fucking being straight. That you just said Mike Tyson is one of the greatest, right? So let me just talk.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me talk. Trevor Berbick. Trevor Berbick was an old fighter by the time he fought Mike Tyson. Larry Holmes was old. He came out of retirement. Michael Spinks came out of fucking retirement. Yeah? The fighters that Mike Tyson beat, they won the biggest names because when he came against the biggest names, like Evander Holyfield beat the fuck out of Mike Tyson. When he came against the biggest name in Lennox Lewis beat the fuck out of Mike Tyson. But Mike Tyson still is the greatest. You get what I'm saying? So why you don't give Deontay Wilder some fucking credit, bro? Deontay Wilder might not have beaten the fighters in the Larry Holmes and all those retired fighters that you're talking about. Yeah? But those retired fights, he was still fighting fighters which were current. You get me? So let me hear what you got to say about that, bro.
Sure. That is a tired argument. Let me explain something to you.
Argument.
No. Let me finish. As people always say, he didn't do this, he didn't do that. Let me break something down to you, and then you could explain a few things to me. How are you the youngest heavyweight champion ever. Then you become undisputed at a young age. Then you become two-time heavyweight champion at a young age. And then even nowadays, you fighting so-called washed-up legends. Both of y'all washed up, and people still come out and see you. Here's the thing. Here's the difference with Mike Tyson. He has done things at a very early age that these boxers still haven't accomplished. No one has been he's been undisputed. Who's undisputed? Nobody. Youngest heavyweight champion. You can say what you want about who he fought, but he fought all the champions because he was undisputed.
Yeah, but give me some names,
no.
bro.
Hold on,
Give me
Rockstar.
some
I'm not
names that he
finished.
beat.
I'm not finished,
Bone
man.
Crusher
I'm not
Smith.
finished.
Bone Crusher
I'm not
Smith,
finished.
Frank
Yeah,
Bruno.
Bone Crusher Smith was actually a real fighter and a champion.
Frank Bruno. He beat
Thank you, Frank
Bruno.
Bruno. He actually made Frank Bruno. He made him because nobody knew who Frank Bruno was till he fought Mike
Fury
Tyson.
would beat the fuck out of Frank Bruno and Bone
Yeah,
Crusher Smith
and they said the same thing about Lennox Lewis. And Frank Bruno gave him a hell of a fight.
Deontay Wilder will knock Frank Bruno the fuck out.
No, he wouldn't.
That shit real.
No, he wouldn't.
Deontay
Lennox Lewis struggled against Frank Bruno, so I don't think that Wilder will go in there and brush him off like that. Lennox Lewis, who's a very, very good boxer, had his moments with Frank Bruno, right? So Frank was Frank. Frank was a good fighter. Bone Crusher was a good fighter. Nobody was really great. He was the one who was the top dog. And then as he got older, then he stepped in the ring with Holyfield. He stepped in the ring with Lewis, and he lost both those fights. But if you go through his resume is better than Wilder and Fury's because none of them has accomplished what Tyson has accomplished. How are you not great if you're the youngest heavyweight champion in the world, undisputed, two-time heavyweight champion?
We gotta go around the panel, Troy. We got other people.
Okay, go ahead.
But look, I want you to listen to this, Troy. I love Mike Tyson, the youngest ever fucking ferocious fighter ever coming out at 17, 18 years old, beating up men. But they also moved Mike Tyson as a business. Mike Tyson was moved very, very carefully, and he was being matched up with fighters which were virtually out of their prime. You know what I'm saying? And this is how they built Mike Tyson up. You got to just be a boxing hardcore to understand that. Yeah, Tyson had the skills, but when Tyson stepped up to the real fighters, he got exposed. And I love Tyson. I think Tyson's the man out of most of these fighters, especially the way he came up, my brother. But I got to keep it real. There ain't no reason to hate on Deontay Wilder or say that he ain't nothing and you're calling Mike Tyson the greatest. You look at Mike Tyson's resume, they moved him very, very carefully. But let's talk to the other brother in the building. How you doing, man?
Okay.
Hello, Rapstar. I just want to say Deontay Wilder's a bum. You know, he's fought like 40-something bums, and then the first time he stepped up, he fought Tyson Fury and he lost.
Man, I'm sorry, bro, but I had to let that guy go because he ain't making no fucking sense. He's coming over here, hating on Deontay Wilder, calling him a bum, calling him a bitch. I'm not in it for that bullshit, bro. I'm not in this fucking boxing business or boxing media channel or talking my time or taking time out for listening to a man to come here and call Deontay Wilder this and Deontay Wilder that. You go step in the ring. You know what I'm saying? Deontay Wilder's a warrior, and I think he is a good fighter. He might not reach great status, but he's a good fighter, man. I mean, like, he got some destructive punches, and he's got a great chin. And let's go to Bruce Goes in the building. What's happening, Bruce?
Salute my brother, Rapstar. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing really well, bro.
Man, you know, I have to disagree about Mike Tyson, man. When Mike Tyson hit the scene, man, he hit that heavyweight scene like nobody else, man. Youngest heavyweight champion. He fought Trevor Berbick. Trevor Berbick had the WBC title, man. He wasn't an old man. You know, he was the champion. Yeah. You know, after that, man, he went after Tony Tucker, man. He took the WBA, Bone Crusher Smith, you know, IBF, one way or the other. But, man, Mike Tyson ruled the heavyweight division. He took out every former champ. He took out every contender they put in front of him. Michael Spinks was Ring Magazine champion at the time, man. He was the lineal champ. Tyson destroyed Michael Spinks in one round. You know, Tyson had his problems, man. You know, he wasn't the same after 1989. He obviously got beat by Buster Douglas. Everybody knows that. But you know, he went to prison. You know, he came out of prison. He wasn't the same. Well, he took a couple of titles, but you know, he ran into Evander Holyfield and he was exposed. But Mike Tyson was way past his prime. You know, when he fought Lennox Lewis, he was only a shell of himself. He did that for the money, and you know, all the defeats that he had, he quit on his ass in the ring, man. You know, that was a past Mike Tyson who didn't have the desire that he had. That wasn't the animal who came on in the early 80s and just went right through the heavyweight division, man. So I got to shout out Mike Tyson, man. Mike Tyson was a great fighter.
Yeah, Mike Tyson is a great fighter, right, Bruce? And I'm not denying that. But what I'm saying is, when you say Mike Tyson is one of the greats, yeah, because I think we give Mike Tyson his most dues, and this is all around the world because of how young he was and how he achieved from all these ex-prime fighters. Like we talk about Trevor Berbick, but we got to remember Trevor Berbick wasn't at his prime when he fought Mike Tyson. He really wasn't, bro. His best days were 4 or 5 years before that. This was Trevor Berbick coming to the end of his life in boxing. And Michael Spinks, if I'm not mistaken, was on a long layoff. And Michael Spinks also, at the end of the day, came back for the Tyson fight for money. It wasn't just for legacy. It was for money. He was getting the highest fucking payday. So I do believe that Tyson, he achieved a lot. I'm not going to downplay what Tyson did for the sport. He brought a lot of heat to the sport. The youngest reigning champion ever to come and disrupt and come over and take over boxing. Let's not forget, this man was a legend for the game. When he was coming up, people were just like awe of Tyson. As such a small guy as well, wasn't he? Bruce, he was only like 5'9", wasn't he?
5'10" and a half. 5'10" and a half.
Yeah, that
was on a good day
for Tyson, yeah. But you look at his resume, yeah. I know you're saying that there's some good names on there, but you can't just tell me that. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, that when he stepped up, yeah, he had a problem in life, but everybody's had a problem in life.
No.
These other fighters had problems.
I want to ask you a question real quick, Rap Star, and then you can pass it back to Bruce.
To me, the biggest names were Evander Holyfield, and obviously people know that Lennox Lewis, when he fought Lennox Lewis, he was out of his prime then, right? But those two names, what he was attached to, he lost pretty bad. You know what I'm saying? And when he stepped up to the biggest names in boxing, he kind of got exposed at the time where he was. And I'm not going to say that Tyson wasn't one of the best. He was. Maybe the prison took it out of him, but prison didn't take it out of Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali came back and dealt with George Foreman, the baddest man on the planet.
Ali didn't go to prison either. Ali didn't go to prison either, Rap Star.
Go ahead.
No, I just want to ask a question. Okay, well, since Tyson is your view, is not great and didn't do this, didn't do that. Name me a current heavyweight today that has surpassed him.
No,
go ahead.
Talk about the youngest heavyweight who's come up and done what Tyson's done, become undisputed. There's not anyone. You know what I'm saying? But
that's not all that he did.
Also, but look, just like you say, they moved Deontay Wilder like a business. They moved Tyson like a business too.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that because Tyson was undisputed, Rap Star. But Tyson was undisputed.
Don King was a very motherfucking clever man.
Okay, but listen to me very carefully. Yeah. Tyson was undisputed, so you couldn't have moved him that carefully because you were putting him in there with champions and people who are now in the Hall of Fame. So how carefully did they move him when in his 20s he accomplished more than both Fury and Wilder have done in their 30s?
I ain't saying that Mike Tyson didn't achieve greatness. I said that Mike Tyson achieved greatness from being in a time where the fighters he had were the only fighters that the way that they moved in was really good. They gave him some great names in Larry Holmes, which came back out of retirement. But at the end of the day, we got to remember this. These guys were not in their prime.
He was undisputed, Rap Star. That's what I'm trying to get my point out to you.
You're also going to remember, if I can for a second, man.
Troy, Sugar Ray Leonard beat motherfuckers in their prime. Sugar Ray Leonard.
Rap Star, explain how he became undisputed to me, Rap Star.
Bro, can I finish?
Explain how he became undisputed.
No, but you got to let me finish, my brother.
Okay.
Troy, Sugar Ray Leonard beat motherfuckers in their prime. He beat fighters which were right at their elite level. Yeah? This is the man who beat the guys which were the top dogs. I'm not saying Mike Tyson ain't a top dog for what he's achieved. I'm not saying that, bro. But it's a bit like Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford's achieved some of the greatest, but he don't have the greatest names on his fucking resume. Now, the difference with Mike Tyson is, Troy, he did it when he was fucking really young. He did it at a time when he was a kid. So you can't take it away from him, right? But it's the same thing, bro. This was not Trevor Burbick at his best. This was not Michael Spinks at his best. And this was not Larry Holmes at his best.
Michael Spinks was undefeated. So you know how better can you be? Michael Spinks was undefeated.
He was undefeated, but he was.
You have to remember too, Rapstar. If I can say something for a second, man.
He was going in for a paycheck with Mike Tyson. Come on.
You gotta understand the whole career of Mike Tyson, man. He was a young kid who grew up in a fishbowl. You know, he was cradled by Customato, you know, until Customato died, and then Customato had Jimmy Jacobs and who was the other manager? Bill Caton. They took over Tyson's career, and Jimmy Jacobs died, and that just blew Tyson away. You know, Tyson got married to Robin Givens and her mother, and man, he was all fucked up. He had all the money in the world, he had all the titles in the world, and he went through the heavyweight division. There's no doubt about that. He didn't duck anybody. And he did it when he was in his prime. You know, even he fought Larry Holmes as a title defense because there was nobody else to fight. Don King had to go get some challenges, man.
They made that fight work. They actually moved him really nice. They moved him really.
Yeah, but see, you got to understand this, man. Larry Holmes, who you say who's washed up, but after that fight, Larry Holmes came back and he beat Ray Mercer.
Yes, he did. He went on a win streak.
Exactly.
He went on a win streak.
Larry was pulled off the couch for 2 weeks. You know, he got $4 million. He couldn't turn it down, man. That was a good for him.
Okay, well, also. I'm sorry, but also,
I'm just saying, Troy, man. Mike Tyson was the best heavyweight of that time from 1986 to 1989. There was not a heavyweight on the planet who could touch Mike Tyson. After he went to jail and came back after 2 years, he was not the same.
Hey, Bruce, let me ask you this, though, Bruce. I know you're an old school boxing guy. You know, I got a lot of respect for you, and that's why you do support our channel. But look, Bruce, do you think Mike Tyson would have survived the era of a George Foreman, a Joe Frazier, a Muhammad Ali?
Absolutely.
Because I've done my research. I know they're one in my time, but I've done enough research to know that Mike Tyson was at the right time, at the right place.
Yeah, but see, Mike Tyson had the boxing brain of Gus D'Amato to guide him through those situations, man. He would have knew how to handle Joe Frazier. He would have knew how to get inside with George Foreman. You know, Mike Tyson wasn't just a basic fighter. Mike Tyson was a very educated fighter. And it was only towards the end of his career where he went off the deep end and he lost a lot of those skills that he had, basic skills and highly advanced skills. So, you know, we got to give Mike Tyson, you know, the credit that's due, man. For those 4 years, Mike Tyson was the best. After that, you know, we can make arguments. He wasn't one of the best heavyweights. He doesn't belong on Mount Rushmore. But for 4 years, man, Mike Tyson was the fucking best heavyweight in the world. Everybody knew who Mike Tyson was, man. He was as popular as Muhammad Ali. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Troy.
Yeah. And Bruce, you have to take into account that if Mike Tyson was around in the 70s and let's say the early 80s, and also created
you're breaking up, man.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, bro.
Okay, good. You know what I'm saying is, if Mike was around in the early 70s, you got to understand that Cuss actually created a guy by the name of Floyd Patterson, who was really a blown up 160-pound guy who became the youngest heavyweight champion and the first two-time heavyweight champion. You see a pattern here, right? Yeah. If that was Mike Tyson in that era with that style, he would have gone a whole lot further than Floyd Patterson. A whole lot further than Floyd.
Do you think, Troy, that because the names like Evander, Lennox, and you know where he lost to names which were no names eventually, that put a tarnish on Mike Tyson's career? Do you think that's somewhere?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I'm going to tell you why, Rapstar. You say he lost to the big names. At least he fought the damn big names. The guy you talking about, Wilder, he ain't fighting no big names. Fury's his biggest name. Fury only has Klitschko and Wilder on his resume. Tyson has Holyfield. He has Lewis. He has the Bone Crusher Smith. He has the Razor Ruddocks. He has, and I can keep going and going and going. You have to fight the big names to either win or lose. These cats have not even fought the big names. So how could you put them over this man?
Yeah, so I think we got to define.
If I can just elaborate on that for 1 second too, man.
Yeah, but
Rapstar. Now look at Roy Jones, all the great achievements that he did. But see, we remember him for being laid out by Antonio Tarver, getting stretched in Russia, and then Glenn Johnson, man. You know that tarnishes all the great accomplishments that Roy Jones did, does it?
Yeah. So look, I think we.
No, I'm asking you a question, bro.
No, but Bruce, we got to define his greatness.
Answer my question so I can make my point. Yes.
Can you hear what I gotta say, bro? Because you know what? Since I started this Mike Tyson conversations, I've got nothing but you guys as old school brethren out here who are very defending Mike Tyson so much that you don't need to make no excuses for Mike Tyson, bro. We all know as a younger generation to you guys that Mike Tyson was one of the baddest men in the planet. Yeah, we know that. We know that Mike Tyson achieved something as a young fighter that no fighters ever achieved. But we also look at the fighters and we look at how come that he fought them right at the end of their career. It just kind of tell us that when he fought the big names, when he come out of prison, when he had those problems, Mike Tyson was never the fucking same. So of course, like Troy says, just because he's got the names on his resume, it still makes his credibility look good. But he lost a lot of those fights at the end, and it did look bad. And it looked like Mike Tyson was never the same. Only the Mike Tyson was the greatest when he was a young fighter. He couldn't keep it up. Regardless of the personal life, every boxer goes through shit. But on that note, I want to go to my sister on the other side. Lisa Bell's in the building. What's happening, Lisa?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's up, Lisa?
What's up, everybody? So the topic is Tyson Fury.
No, we're talking about we're at Mike Tyson, what he's done in the sport of boxing, and he's one of the greatest. But Troy said that Deontay Wilder ain't that good at all.
No, that's not what I said.
So what
I
did
said
you
I don't
say
see.
then?
I said I don't see greatness when I look at Fury or Wilder. That's what I said. In so many
So
words.
you're saying Fury, Wilder, and AJ, all three then?
Yeah, I said yeah. I see very good. I see above average, but great. No.
So what we're saying is, Lisa, right? Then I guess where we're at with this is that Mike Tyson is one of the greatest, but these three heavyweights right now, they're nothing near that.
I don't put the heavyweights today, the top ones in the category of Mike Tyson yet, because they haven't yet proven it. We still haven't got an undisputed yet. Mike Tyson made history as being the youngest. Before him, it was Floyd Patterson. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So he broke that record. Mike Tyson was an anomaly. He came around. He was young. He was knocking everybody out. He was just so young. His prime was so young. And then he went to prison, unfortunately, and his career, he came back, but he was definitely, just his career wasn't the longest, but it wasn't a short career either. He had some lulls in his career, of course, due to being incarcerated, but how would he fare with the big guys today?
Yeah.
I think he would break. Well, prime Mike Tyson was very fast. So he knew how to come. Like when the bell rang, Mike Tyson was all over you. So like he knew how to close off that distance and get right to you and break your ribs. I think most of these guys today will get their ribs broken by him, prime Mike Tyson. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, because he's.
Go ahead, Troy.
No, I was gonna say size doesn't matter because it's not like he was fighting small guys. He was fighting 6'4", 6'5", and all that. But I don't know if that's my phone, so I'm gonna make this short. He was fighting 6'4", 6'5" guys back in the day. When he was fighting, so it wasn't like he can't handle these cats.
What I liked about Tyson, Troy, though, the best attributes when he was at his prime and his youngest, how he moved his head, how he weaved and moved and stuff, right? Like his head would not be in one place. It'd be like a ping pong ball. The man would be moving constantly, right? So Tyson still had that kind of an understanding as a boxing IQ. But he used to get touched up though. I mean, Tyson had a strong chin in his early days. One thing I've got to give him, he had a stronger chin in his early days. He wasn't fit later on in his life. So, you know, he started going down a lot more. But Mike Tyson in his prime was when he was moving and weaving and moving his head a lot more, coming in with his jab, coming on the inside with his uppercuts and his wild 1-2 shots. I mean, he was a much smaller guy. And I think, to be fair with you, because of how young he was, like Lisa said, most of his attributes have come because he broke records when he was a young boy. When he came up in the fight afterwards, you ain't got the best scenes of Mike Tyson after that.
All I can say, you know, for all of that, I don't know one current heavyweight that has surpassed him at all. From the top guy on down, I don't know one current heavyweight that has surpassed Mike Tyson.
Yeah, but I would say that Muhammad Ali fought a lot of fighters in their prime. In their prime. I see Joe Frazier, he fought fighters in their prime.
So did Mike Tyson.
Mike
And
Tyson
see,
fought a
Rapstar,
lot of them fighters.
if you
Troy, when I do research, it was towards the end of their career. It's a lot of
see, heavyweight champions used to lose their title rather than fight Tyson, man. Tim Witherspoon did that. Tony Tubbs did that. Pinklin Thomas did that, man. Fucking Tyson was the scariest MF heavyweight in that era, man. Believe me, I lived through that. I saw it, man.
Yeah.
He put fear in his opponent's heart. He scared Mike Tyson to death before that. Excuse me. He scared Michael Spinks to death before that bell rang.
Yeah. So Mike Tyson just
that.
had that aura about him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
an
but he
original
talked the walk, and he walked the walk and he talked the talk, man. He backed everything up.
Like Mike Tyson had that
he got
OG. Mike Tyson had that OG kind of feeling, like a gangster kind of feeling. You know what I'm saying? He was from the streets. He was a young boy coming up, beating up men. And the way that he used to look at you with those cross eyes, bro, he used to fucking scare a man the way that man used to come up there looking at you. And he used to never fear nothing. If you remember, when Tupac was alive, Tupac used to run up to Mike Tyson, didn't he? Tupac used to always be there, running up to Mike Tyson, showing him love. Like, this guy had the street on lockdown. People loved this guy. They just loved the way he was. What do you think about Tyson, D. Hodges? Yo, D.
He's too scared to answer.
D.
How you doing, my bro? How you doing, sir?
What's happening, bruv? What's happening? What do you think about Mike Tyson and what he brought to the sport?
I don't know. Like, he was just fine until, I don't care. Once you actually bite a man's ear off, like actually, literally, like took a chunk of his ear, it's like that. Just like you use steroids and everything else, that made me kind of not like you because Holyfield was beating you up that bad. So you really bit like a piece of his ear off. So that kind of sent him down my heavyweight list. But like I said, I don't care. Y'all gonna stop disrespecting my man Wilder. Right now, I'm Superman of the Wilder Justice League. You know what I'm saying? And it's the point. It don't matter whoever he knocked them out. It's a lot of people that have fights and they don't even knock the people out they supposed to. People bet on knockouts and the person don't even get it. But at least the people that bet on Wilder, they was guaranteed. I guarantee you, after 20 in a row, I guarantee you they was betting on Wilder by knockout. So y'all gotta respect my guy, man. 40 something knockouts in a row, like. That's crazy though. Like even the greats, they took a loss or two in between that route. So whatever. Maybe the only one is probably Sugar Ray Robinson or Joe Louis. One of them that had 173 fights. So they're way above Wilder because they
Okay,
got
so
way
let me
more.
just justify what you're saying, D, or just hold back. So D's saying, look, there's too much excuses for Mike Tyson as well. Like from what I'm getting, a lot of big men, they make a lot of excuses of when Tyson lost his discipline. When Tyson lost his fights, they blame it on him being in prison. They say that Tyson, these I'm just keeping it out there what other people do say. That a lot of people make excuses for Mike Tyson because even when he bit Evander Holyfield's ear, that's no big deal. It's Mike Tyson, right? Well, I mean, do we think that we're making excuses for Mike Tyson like D. Hodges says, and you guys don't recognize that Deontay Wilder should be in the same kind of name? What he's proven to the sport, how he's been knocking people out. I
What
mean,
is Wilder proven? I'm sorry, Rapstar. What is
tell
he
the
proven?
audience. Go and tell him.
No, he's proven he can knock out 40-some people in a row without no steroids,
Okay, well,
without
name
no
10 of
nothing
those people
else.
that are still currently relevant. D.
But
Hodges' name.
it
Why don't
don't
you name
even
10 of
matter
those
about.
people that are still currently relevant?
It don't even matter. He still knocked him out at the point in time he wasn't supposed to knock him out, and he did. I'm pretty sure he finished 10
Who did he knock
knockouts.
out that was that's still relevant today? That's
I
still
don't,
still
I don't, I can't remember any
exactly.
fight. I can't remember any fighter he fought, but I know the nigga knocked 40-something people
Yeah, he
out
knocks
in there.
40 plus people out. Now I can rattle off 10 names that Mike Tyson knocked out, and most of them will be champions, and some will be in the Hall of Fame. You can't rattle off 10 names out of 40 plus that
No, I can't.
Wilder beat.
No,
Wow.
I'm not even gonna lie. I can't, but I just,
I mean, I can
man,
help D
it
Hodges.
don't matter.
I
I
can
done
help
been
him.
watching
I
so
can
much
help him, D
boxing
Hodges.
since
I
then.
mean, D Hodges. Let me just help
It's
you here,
like
bro.
a lot of people ain't been knocking people out they supposed to. At least Wilder was knocking everybody out. Only one he didn't knock out was Fury. It's a lot of niggas that had rough
He
fights
hasn't
with
knocked
people.
out
Yeah,
any
but hey,
top
That
but
Them
heavyweight
Troy,
at
people,
all,
Troy.
D. Hodges.
none of
It
them
don't
people.
matter. You
uh,
still knock them out. A lot
It
of
does
people struggle,
matter. It's about the level of competition.
but a lot of people struggle with people they supposed to knock out, but they
Mm.
struggle with them. How many people y'all can name? I can't remember right now because I'm nice, but how many people struggle with people that they were supposed to knock out? Wilder knocked his. He,
Wilder.
he, he knocked us out though at the end of the day.
Tyson
But
Fury would disagree
But
with
what
you.
does Wilder got to do with Mike Tyson? That's what I'm trying to figure.
They're trying to put them
no,
in the same
Troy said.
sentence,
Let me tell
Lisa.
you where this
They're
started,
not.
my sister. Troy
And
said.
no,
anybody
it's
who
the
say
This is
that is
what Troy
crazy.
said. Troy
because
said that
he
Mike
asked
Tyson is
me,
the greatest.
my man Rapstar asked me who
Yeah.
what I thought the best heavyweight in my opinion.
Oh,
Wilder knocking out 40-something people, dog, puts him up there. You know what I'm saying? And he
right.
never cheated. He never did
But
nothing wrong.
but you can't name 10 of them that are still relevant in the sport. D. Hodges, all
Because he
due
knocked
respect.
him in Brazil, he knocked him in the retirement. I
Melina,
can name a bunch
Uh,
of people. Because I
Laverne.
can sit up here, I swear to God, if I
I
really
said
could think
still
about
relevant
it,
in the sport.
Wilder got a retirement home. How many people he knocked out and they never fought again?
Okay, well,
Yo,
name me
it's,
three
What
that
are
are
you
still
it's
relevant in
talking
the sport
about?
and still
You
making
said
stuff.
he knocked. You said he knocked Brazil into retirement. Brazil fought after that.
no, I'm just saying in general, mad people never fought after he knocked them out again. I told you I'm nice right now. I really can't think of no names, but I just know it's a bunch of people he knocked out and they never fought again. That list is long. I can't think of the names because it's so long. So I just respect Wilder for that because it's
Long and
hard to
irrelevant,
knock.
exactly. Long
No,
and
it's hard
irrelevant.
to because it's hard to knock people out. How many people were supposed to knock people out and they didn't? It's hard to even if you get a TKO or a stoppage, it's hard to get those, and he got them in a row. So
He was supposed to
that's
knock
all.
out Fury twice. He didn't.
No, that was Fury because Fury he
Because
did
Fury's
whatever.
another good fighter.
I'm not even gonna
Fury's
talk
another
about
good
Fury,
fighter.
but we're talking about the 40-something prior. They wasn't knocked out before until they fought him, and then they got knocked out. So I just give him his props because he knocked out 40-something people in the row. That's like a nigga in the hood dog on dogs. Damn, this nigga done knocked out
Sons,
40
right?
niggas. That nigga
Let's
done
say I
knocked
had
out.
10 sons and I knocked out all 10 of my
Have you
sons. Is
studied
that a big
boxing?
accomplishment?
I'm not trying to be funny, but there's other people who have a lot. I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna leave that alone.
No, but the only point of my conversation is that 40-something knockouts in a row is hard to get. Because it's hard to knock out. It don't matter if I'm fighting that nigga from 7-Eleven. A lot of boxers have problem with Uber drivers. They just won the decision. that man knocked him out. So
But no
that's
one knows who he knocked out. That's what I'm saying. You talking
He
about Mike
told you who
Tyson
he
fought
knocked
all
out,
these
Troy.
older
He
fighters and
told
yada
you
yada
from A
yada,
to the
but you know their names,
Melina,
don't you? But you know
Brazil.
their names.
But he told
You
you,
know
innit?
Leon, you know Larry Holmes, but you don't know.
We're losing you, Troy.
I'm sorry, man. I'm holding the phone on the charger. I'm just saying, Rap Star, you went on a long rant about how Tyson knocked out Larry Holmes, who was older, Hall of Famer. Spinks, who wasn't really all there, Hall of Famer. And then, he fought all these champs, Bone Crusher Smith, Tony Tubbs. You see that? You know their names. All I'm asking is to tell me, do the same thing for Wilder. Rattle
He
them off.
told you,
Tell me.
bro. He told
Who
you
did he
from A
tell
to
me? He told
the.
me
He
Brazil?
told you Brazil. He told you
Yeah, he said he
Melina.
knocked it, but Brazil, who did what? He wasn't a champion. He's not going into the Hall of Fame. You talking about Mike Tyson didn't fight anybody in their prime, but those not people in their prime are now in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but
Or
what he's
or they
saying
were
to you.
champions. Or they were champions, Rap Star.
Yeah, but
Who did
what
Wilder
D
beat
Hodges
that
is
was on
saying
the
to
same
you.
level of the people Tyson beat?
Yeah, but
Who?
what D Hodges is saying to you is that in this era, Deontay Wilder still deserves some kind of a, credibility that he came up
He,
the way he came up, and he's been knocking people out, right? He's saying those same fighters, they didn't get knocked out like that. So he does carry something to the table. He does bring some good excitement. He is a fighter that is the name of boxing today. You can't deny that, bro. He
I
is
give
one of
him
the
his
biggest
credit for
names of
knocking people
boxing
out.
today. But
But
when
the
you
fact,
say,
okay.
when you talk about Mike Tyson, all he's saying to you as well is that people make excuses. Look at where Tyson ended up. Look at how Tyson was undisciplined at the
Yes,
end.
he's
Look at how
levels
Tyson,
above
look at how he
Wilder. That's where he
conducted
ended up.
himself.
Even in his 50s, going
Yeah,
on
but let me
60,
ask you this:
he's levels
what
above
about
Wilder.
what about the time when he bit Evander Holyfield's ear?
He was completely wrong for that because he was looking for a way out.
So you
Whatever. He
agree?
was looking
So you
for a way
agree
out.
that
He was wrong.
So you agree that Mike Tyson quit?
Of course, he quit in that damn fight.
So you know that, yeah?
Ain't no. But here's the thing,
So
though.
Deontay Wilder hasn't showed you that he wants to quit.
No. But Rap Star, you keep saying he lost the big fights. Tyson took the big fights. Wilder has not taken any big fights. Name me someone other than Fury that he's fought. That's the top heavyweight, current top heavyweight. You can't you can't in one breath say I'm not giving Tyson any credit
because
because
a lot of
he fought
people
these
he
big
knocked
guys
out
because
ain't fought again. It's a
because
few that did,
they
but
were
it's a
nobody
bunch
when he
that ain't
fought them,
fought
and they were
again. So
nobody after
it's
the
hard for
fact, brother.
it's
They were
hard for
nobody when he
anybody to
fought
think
them.
of
He
a
was
name.
nobody when he fought them.
I know who else is still fighting.
Okay, look. 30 years later, I could rattle off Tyson's names. You can't tell me that you can't currently rattle off any names of Wilder. 30 plus years later, I can still rattle off names that Tyson beat. But you can't name anybody that's relevant or top guy that Wilder knocked out.
Because
Come
Tyson's
on,
career
man.
was
I don't
over and
matter.
done with.
He knocked
But Tyson
everybody
didn't
out,
say.
so it don't
He
matter.
didn't. He didn't
Whatever
knock
race.
out White. He didn't knock out Parker. He didn't knock out Joshua. He didn't knock out Fury. So where's this
No, I
everybody you're
said
talking about?
Wilder. He knocked out everybody but Fury. I'm talking about Wilder here. I told
Wilder
you.
did not knock out Joshua, did not knock out White, did not knock out Parker,
He
did not
didn't.
knock
He
Talking
out
never
Derek
about who
fought
he
Chisora.
fought.
them. He never
Exactly. And
fought.
these are the top guys, though. That's my point.
Hey, let's
But
not get
them
it
top
twisted, though.
guys are knocked
Let's
out
not get
by
it
lesser
twisted, though, D
people
Hodges.
because White got knocked out by Vavekian. That
A
wasn't supposed to
former champion
happen.
is a lesser person,
Hold up.
Ruiz wasn't supposed to
Hold up.
beat AJ the first time.
and he
Come
lost in
on,
the
we're not gonna
rematch and
go
has
in.
done what
We're not
else?
gonna
He
go into.
lost
We're
in the
not gonna go
rematch.
into that
He
conversation.
lost in the
We're not.
rematch. What has Wilder done in 18 months since his loss, besides complain?
He's trying to get a rematch.
Trying. Come on, man. 18 months, you can't get a freaking rematch? Come on, stop it.
I
Hey, you
don't
can't
know.
take
Some
away
people
from Mike
shoot.
Tyson
Some
that he.
people shit. It's a bunch of
No, D
people that
Hodges.
never got a. It's a bunch of people that never got a rematch ever.
D Hodges.
And it be 10 years later they still ain't had no rematch.
Yeah, but D
It's
Hodges.
all about the promoters and whatever stations they're on or whatever. But shit, they probably
How
never
does
have a
Joshua
rematch
get his rematch so fast then? How Joshua get a rematch so fast?
because
Mm-hmm.
they wanted them to get them belts back. And they already probably had mad money for the 2 fight deal. And okay, AJ won. I mean, he won the first one, and they made so much more money because you don't know how many people picked Ruiz to win the second fight, and that's where he lost a lot of people money, and that's why a lot of people were mad because came in fat, overweight, like oh my god, that second fight was like horrible, and that's the only reason why I didn't bet because I lost the first one. I ain't gonna lie. Couple of 3 weeks notice. Oh, AJ about to knock this nigga out. I only bet with my friends though. I don't do all that odd shit, but bet with my friends, and I'm like, yo, da da da, and bet, and he stopped them. I said, ain't that a bitch? Because that's me and my friend. We do our bets. If it's by a stoppage and he's not supposed to stop him, then you gotta give an extra $50. So I had to give an extra $50 because when we stopped him, I said, "Get the fuck out of here!" How the fuck did? Excuse my language. How did that happen? And then second fight, I ain't even bet with him. Know what I'm saying? Because I should have, because I should have went for AJ again. But after that first fight, I said, nah, I ain't betting no more. He might got AJ's number, but like I said, you never know. Like I said, I lost mad money to Triple D because I could have swore he was gonna beat Joe Joyce and didn't. I had to pay an extra $50 because Joe Joyce got the stoppage. Like it's bad fights. I had to pay out an extra 50 because how the fuck they get the stoppage? That's the last thing I can understand now boxing for the decision, but damn the stoppage. I don't see that because if they don't stop them, then I get the $50. But so far, all my picks been getting beat by stoppage. So I don't know who to bet on no more.
Anyway, so I think what we got to come back to is that Mike Tyson did fight everybody. He did. And Mike Tyson, even when he come back, he fought all the names. But some people would say this as well, Troy, that the biggest names he lost against them. And in one of them, he quit. Now, does that not is that not what boxing fans will look at when they start researching his bit, what he came to the sport and that what he ended up with? Or you think they're gonna deny that because you knew how great he was? Because how you knew Tyson came up. They're
If
not
you,
connected to Tyson like you are. So when you look at the research, how do you feel about those times, the way that he lost to those biggest names?
I don't think a damn thing about it. And I'm not connected to Tyson. I was a Holyfield fan. I'm still a Holyfield fan. I've always put Holyfield over Tyson. He was just a better fighter. I really wasn't a Mike Tyson guy. I was a Holyfield guy through and through. Now, that being said, most people who just browse through somebody's career, they always look at what the wins and things like that, and as far as the knockouts, those and the quitting that comes later on in life. So the fact that he quit later on in life doesn't take away from what he did when he first started in boxing. And I'm going to repeat myself. You keep saying he lost his big fights. Deontay Wilder has not taken any big fights,
Yeah,
hasn't
but
beaten
Deontay
anybody.
Wilder's career is not over yet.
He's
Deontay
30
Wilder's
plus. Yeah,
still
he's
going
almost
in.
40. He's almost 40. You're talking about you're talking about a young man that accomplished all this stuff in his
So
20
okay,
in his
we're
20s,
not
and in
just
his
talking
30s he was
about
still going.
Deontay Wilder though. Say if Anthony Joshua beats Deontay Wilder and then beats Tyson Fury, doesn't Anthony Joshua become? You said all three of these guys are not in the same level as Mike Tyson. Do you think Anthony Joshua can be in the same level as Mike Tyson if he beats all these guys?
Same thing. Anthony Joshua, if he beats everybody, we consider the greatest heavyweight of this era. Do I think he's a great heavyweight? No, I think he's a very good heavyweight.
So none of these guys will become great for you. You're saying no, that these guys, even
No.
Tyson Fury, if Tyson Fury beats Deontay Wilder again, and he goes and beats Anthony Joshua, and he beats everybody who's in his way, like was Joshua, Klitschko, and Deontay Wilder, don't you think that people would say, wait there, this guy is a special fighter, he's a great? You don't think people will
No,
call him
if
a goat
Fury
on
beat
a
Wilder,
great?
if because I know this time it's gonna be fair, they're gonna make sure. So if Fury beat Wilder
Tell
again,
him, Dion, yeah.
he's my number one heavyweight. If he beat him this time, like he did the last time, then I know he probably didn't cheat. So it's like if Fury win this one, I will not. I'll excuse the whole second fight because I know this one's up and up. So I excuse the whole second one. Fury will be the number one,
Yeah, but
and
you can't see
Joshua
people
will,
Well,
for
it
hating,
was
Dion.
and
always
Joshua will be the
Troy, I
and
see
gotta
Josh,
too
fight.
much hate. Troy is not
Joshua,
getting no
but
credit.
Joshua,
Troy is not getting no
he will
fucking
move to
credit
number
to the
two
heavyweights
because
of the boxers of today. When it comes to Mike Tyson's name, he doesn't want to talk about these heavyweights. He's saying that these heavyweights are nowhere near the level. But if these heavyweights achieve greater things, and let's say Tyson Fury becomes an undisputed fighter, just like D. Hodges says, if he beats Wilder again and he becomes an undisputed fighter, damn right you're going to put Tyson Fury's name next to Mike Tyson.
Nah.
Troy? I mean, I'm
No,
just
you're
saying,
not.
I know
Listen,
you're
listen,
playing
Nah.
Wilder.
because
I'm
you
sorry,
Nah.
I
want to
called you
change
Wilder.
them. Yeah, but
No.
Listen,
Troy, when
Rap
he
Star,
becomes
I wouldn't.
undisputed, bro.
No, I
Rap
wouldn't.
Star. This man is in his mid 50s
No,
right
no,
now.
no.
Tyson, and he's only second to Ali as far as heavyweights go. Fury's never going to be on that level ever. None of these heavyweights in this era will ever be on that
I
level ever.
agree. I agree. None of them are.
Yeah, but that's not. Yeah,
That's
but
just my opinion.
where you guys are not being fair. Yeah, this is just my opinion. That no matter what these heavyweights do today, they're never going to be in the comparison of a Mike Tyson or anybody like that kind of a name, like Mike Tyson. We're specifically talking about Mike, who lost some of his biggest fights, who bit Evander Holyfield's ear off. We can't say that we're not going to make this. I don't want to say nobody's making excuses, but it's like Mike Tyson never did anything wrong. Mike Tyson got knocked out against Lennox Lewis. So what I'm saying is, if Tyson Fury goes and beats these guys and beats Anthony Joshua for undisputed, and he doesn't lose, and he goes out there and still beats the number one and number two guys of today, he does become
oh,
the
he
great
can
of this era,
retire.
bro.
He's pound for
And if
pound.
Anthony Joshua does the same thing, or even if Deontay Wilder comes back and beats Tyson Fury, beats Anthony Joshua for undisputed, you better put respect on Deontay Wilder's name, Troy. That's just the way I look at it. That, you got to put respect on the fighters of today. You can't just say Mike Tyson was all the god of boxing and these guys ain't shit. That sounds like that a bit of a hate, like hating on the sport where we are
No.
today.
No, I think you taking it. I think you taking it wrong. I'm just saying from
I'm
my
talking about
perspective.
Troy though, Lisa. I'm not talking about you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, because Troy sometimes comes with these sneaky things saying that I won't give them no, they're never going to be great. You know what I'm saying? So that downplays the heavyweight boxing scene of where we are today. It's like we don't respect our fighters of today. I do respect them. I think Anthony Joshua is one of a supreme athlete. I think Deontay Wilder is one of the most special specimens in boxing. And I also think Tyson Fury is one of the gifted fighters. And I believe any one of these guys could have beaten Mike Tyson. I believe if they would have fought Mike Tyson, they could have beaten Mike Tyson. I'm not saying I don't love Mike Tyson. I like Mike Tyson more than these fighters of today. Maybe as a person, how he was coming up. But I believe Tyson Fury could have beat Mike Tyson. I believe if Deontay Wilder caught Mike Tyson, he would have knocked him out. And I believe Anthony Joshua could beat Mike Tyson. That's my opinion. That's just my opinion.
Because they was way taller.
Yeah.
They was way. Tyson was what, 5'10"? Tyson was like 5'10". There's what, 6'5", 6 whatever. They like well into 6 feet. They are way taller. So I really think that they would have used that jab, and yeah, they are like three very big guys though, just like height wise, like being tall. So they got like very very long arms. So in my opinion, I think they would have kept Tyson away with the reach.
Tyson know how to get up under that and bob and weave and uppercut you and bust your ribs up. He was fast. He's faster than all these guys.
Yeah, he had a good head movement too.
And the head movement.
Yeah, his head movement was good. But my thing is this though. Say if one of these 6'7" and 6'9" guys start leaning on him, keeping that distance with Mike Tyson, when you know that he's coming with that head movement, you know, Anthony Joshua got a serious uppercut. Anthony Joshua's uppercuts ain't second to nobody. Deontay Wilder's right hand ain't second to nobody. And, you know, Tyson Fury can keep that distance. I'm just saying that Mike Tyson probably would have had a hard time with one of these guys. I don't see him going through him. You know, Lennox Lewis showed us what he could do to Mike Tyson when he kept that distance. Evander Holyfield showed us what he can do to Mike Tyson when he was boxing really well. I feel like there was a blueprint to beat him, but maybe
Yeah.
he was just a bit untouchable when he was coming up. But also, at the end of the day, which was the youngest fighter Tyson fought, which was in their prime with an unbeaten record, apart from Michael Spinks, which was towards the end of his career? I just feel like Mike Tyson, yeah,
Razor
he was
Ruddock
one
was
of the
young,
best.
right?
Who?
Wasn't Razor Ruddock young?
I don't know Razor Ruddock's career in a way where he was the biggest name with an unbeaten record. But I'm just saying that, you know, like Mike Tyson, yeah, he beat some serious people, but they were towards the end of their career as well. Look, Mike Tyson, one of the greatest ever put on gloves for sure. And I'm not going to downplay Mike Tyson for nobody. But I do think that the heavyweights of today have become much bigger. They also have, you know what I mean? They're way bigger guys than what they were them days. And fighting elevates as well. I just think we're not maybe happy with the heavyweights we got today. Maybe it's just that we're trying to compare of the excitement and stuff, because Mike Tyson used to bring a whole event with him, didn't he? He was one of the most excitingest events in boxing. So,
Yeah, at that time, yeah.
you know, he was one of the biggest names, and he was capturing people around the world, even the Chinese in Tokyo. Remember, Lisa? He was in their countries. They were going crazy about him. He
Yeah,
used to be.
yeah, yeah.
He used to have a lot of
You mean
fans
the
like
Japanese?
worldwide. I think he captured the imagination of the public. Do you agree?
Yeah, he's a huge star phenomenon. He's a what you call like a global star, yeah. Um these fighters today are really good. Don't get me wrong. They're doing great things. Unfortunately, you know, the training is different today. That's the issue. Like, I mean, the old school trainers is not, they're few and far between nowadays. So, like Mike Tyson was so blessed and fortunate to have a cousin. What was the other guy's name that trained Tyson after Cuz died?
What's his name? He does his own.
Bruce Groves. Where you at? Help me.
Well, after Customodo died, right?
Yeah, he was a good trainer too. Yeah, like the training, you know, like the old school. You know, it's not many of them left. So they were privy to like better
Is it
trainers.
Rooney? Brusco says
Yeah,
Rooney.
yes, thank you, Rooney.
Right.
Yeah, like they had you know, Emmanuel Stewarts and people like that. That's that. I think that's part of it, but also they're not really putting into the boxing. They're not really putting in the money into boxing like they used to years ago. You know, unfortunately. Like last night we had the Olympics. Unfortunately America didn't get the gold, but you know, congratulations to everyone who did get gold, you know. Um, you know, they're just not putting into the amateur systems no more. It's just like it's really sad to see. That's why when you get an old school trainer, hold on to them.
Mm. Yeah, I think we got to look. I think people have divided views in the fighters of the past and what we have today. I think some people didn't grow up to the fighters. You know, they done a lot of research. They had to look a lot of Tyson's fights. They saw how Tyson came up. Like Hawker Mustang thinks if Fury knocks out Deontay Wilder clean out, then he's going to go down to him greater than Mike Tyson. I mean, that's his opinion.
No, he won't.
That's just his opinion, you know. And
Yeah.
you know, egg-shaped foam says Tyson has the most potential to be one of the greatest. So some people do believe that Tyson Fury has got the potential to be a great. That's what they're saying. Joseph,
I don't.
yeah, I know Lisa does. Joseph Millane says Fury has won every belt in the division. He's the only heavyweight to do that ever. That makes a great already, in his opinion. I mean, some people
Yeah,
don't
but
give
he never
Fury the
defended
credibility.
one.
Huh?
I could say that. He never defended one, so I could say that.
Okay, there you go. So he never defended his belts, so that takes away from him being great. But
No, I didn't say that.
okay.
I'm saying you're saying that he won this and that. He had more, but it's still part of being a champ is defending. You know, being a champ. Now he did. I mean, as far as lineal, if you want to compare that, if you want to say that, yes, he did defend his lineal status plenty of times.
Toby Bartlett says you can't understand the 80s and 90s boxing by reading a book. You need to be watching it much more. Okay. Craig Hutchison says if he beats Wilder in Joshua, he has to be considered one of the greatest, in my opinion, in heavyweight boxing. Now, this is my opinion. Look, I understand that some of the chat understand that if Tyson Fury beats Deontay Wilder and then he comes back to become the undisputed and he beats Anthony Joshua, you got to give him his flowers. You can't say that he's not one of the greatest. A lot of people agree with that, though. And it seems to me there's no hating in that. That just is that he's achieved something now and he's defended it. So if he defends his belt, goes and becomes an undisputed, how can you take that away from Tyson Fury? My thing is, we just got to keep it a bit factual here. Maybe you don't like Tyson Fury as a person. You hate his antics. You hate that what he did after the Klitschko fight. But if he comes back, and as he is, and he beats Deontay Wilder again, and then he comes back to beat Anthony Joshua, I agree with Craig. I'm with Craig on that. You know what I'm saying? Jumbo Slice says, who we forgetting about AJ being young and taking on top 10 fights? Well, it looks like AJ don't get nowhere near that credit like Mike Tyson did. After the way that I've been speaking to the people in the panel today, it doesn't look like that they appreciate what these fighters have done than what Mike Tyson has. It seems like Mike Tyson had take more risk. Mike Tyson seemed to be the fighter who fought the bigger names. Now, I don't know about that. I'm not saying Trevor Berbick, Michael Spinks, and Larry Holmes ain't big names. No, they're big names. But they were big names towards the end of their career. Anthony Joshua fighting these fighters in this prime. But Mike Tyson did it when he was young. So it just depends how you look at it. And it depends what's your perspective of it. That's the main thing. Peter von R says, when they open up the book of heavyweight champions, Tyson, Joshua, Wilder, and Fury will be there. And that's a fact. That's what I mean. You know what I mean? We've got to remember that now Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, and Tyson Fury will be in the books of boxing for the rest of our lives, even when we die. When we're gone from this world, these guys will be the name in the history of the sport.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But they still gotta. I mean, Tyson and Wilder's mixing it up, so hopefully they'll mix it up with the other guy. We just want to see who's come out to be the champ. The champ should be the one with everything. Josh Taylor is the man because he has everything.
Yeah.
Not a
Hey,
title holder, but the man.
I hear ya. I hear ya. Everybody's looked upon in a different way, right? Some people are the baddest men in the planet when they reach a certain status, right? So even Deontay Wilder, before this though, Lisa, they were calling him. They were. There's loads of videos. I've got all the, those magazines, those boxing documentaries, those boxing pop-ups. They were calling Deontay Wilder the baddest man in the planet after Mike Tyson. They just were.
Yeah. I know they was calling him that. Yeah.
So Sinister
But see,
says, right?
Tyson could say that because Mike Tyson, because he was undisputed. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? In order to be the baddest man on the planet, you have to fight. To, in my opinion, that's how it used to be. I don't know about now. This is just why I believe you got to fight everybody.
Yeah, but
At
if
least
Joshua beats Tyson Fury and Joshua beats Wilder, he become the baddest man on the planet.
that's the same with Josh Taylor. That's what I mean by
Yeah.
he would be the man in that division. Yeah.
I mean,
The
yeah,
same with
you be the
any of
man
them.
in
If
the
Wilder
division
beat
for
them
sure.
all, he would be the man in that division. If Fury beat them all, he would be the man in that division. There's no dispute about that.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steven says, I think Fury beats. Oh, wow. Steven 4722. He says, I think Fury beats Mike Tyson on points, but I think Tyson knocks out AJ and Wilder. Okay, that's a good opinion. So you think Mike Tyson would have knocked out Deontay Wilder because he would have gotten the inside, and you don't think that he would have been able to, Deontay Wilder would have been able to catch him with his right hand, and you also don't think that AJ could have used his jab against Mike Tyson, and AJ wouldn't have been able to deal with Mike Tyson's punching power, where AJ is 5'8". I mean, sorry, what am I talking about? 6'7", 6'8", right? AJ is about 6'7". So at the end of the day, I don't know how that fight would have gone, but Stephen reckons that Tyson Fury would have been the guy to beat Mike Tyson. Just Blaze says Tyson would have been deep in Wilder's ribs. Yeah, Lisa was saying that.
All of them.
Tell him,
All
Lisa.
that girth Fury has, he would have broke his ribs like he did Galata.
Mike Tyson, a pit bull, he going in there trying to break their body down. You know what I mean? Craig Hutchison says, I don't think Tyson could beat Tyson Fury. That's my humble opinion. I have. A lot of people believe that the only boogeyman for Mike Tyson in this era is Tyson Fury. That's just off of today's live. Everybody smash that like button, man. I'm still out here cooking. We're still here talking about the situation with Mike Tyson would have been against the heavyweights of today. Bruce says, what heavyweight gets instructions like use the 5-2-6 combo today?
None of them.
Mike Tyson used to go in for the kill. Hey, Lisa?
Yeah, I mean, yes, in his day, yeah. Of course, he met his match with Holyfield. But people gotta understand, Holyfield's a great fighter, an excellent fighter, a two-time undisputed champion. So Lennox Lewis, an excellent fighter. At least when he did lose for the top guys, they were, great. I mean, I know he had a few in there that wasn't, but yeah. But I definitely I was upset with Mike when he bit his ear. I was very upset about that. I never saw anything like that before in my life. So I definitely didn't condone that.
Yeah. I'd love to put that picture up in a bit when Mike Tyson took Evander Holyfield's ear off. At that point, Mike Tyson couldn't have been mentally with boxing. You know what I mean? He lost his
Yeah.
discipline. He was getting beaten up by Evander Holyfield. I think at that
Right.
time he was a sore loser as well. You know what I mean? He couldn't take it, and he had to find a way to come out of that fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, Mike Tyson had his great points, but he also had his weak points. And I think
Yeah.
also Mike Tyson, you know, Evander Holyfield was just mentally and physically at that point too strong for Mike.
Mm-hmm.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And when he came against Lennox Lewis, you know, just like Hawker Mustang said that Lennox Lewis just had, you know, had his number. Lennox Lewis was
Mm.
just too good of a fighter for Mike Tyson. And some people
Right.
believe that if Lennox Lewis would have fought Mike when Mike was coming up, that he would have beaten him then as well.
Maybe.
Because Lennox Lewis did beat another bad man in Riddick Bowe in the Olympics, didn't he? He beat
Yeah.
that. He beat Riddick Bowe in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Riddick Bowe didn't fight Lennox or Mike Tyson, to be honest. Those were the
Mm-hmm.
fights that we never got, where Riddick Bowe, Mike Tyson, or even Riddick Bowe, Lennox Lewis.
Mm-hmm. The Riddick Bowe that fought Holyfield, the first fight.
Mm,
I think he beats all these guys today. But I'm talking about the Riddick Bowe in that fight.
mm.
That was a brutal fight.
No, it was a brutal fight. He took a lot of punishment in that fight too.
Yeah, he did. He did. Bowe had a good jab too.
Craig Hutchison says Tyson was 5'10". It would have been very difficult for him to beat Tyson Fury. Mike Tyson is one of the greatest, but he wouldn't have seen him beat Fury. So that means if that's what some of you people think, then Tyson Fury's the greatest then. If you feel that he can't beat Tyson Fury can beat him, then that means you think that Tyson Fury could go down as one of the greatest. But obviously some of the people don't believe that. And Troy definitely made sure that he made a point that that definitely isn't what it is. But hey,
He
everybody's
got a
entitled to their own opinion.
he got to fight not just like Klitschko and Wilder. What about some other guys like Dylan White? What about these other guys? Uh, Ortiz. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing names out there. It's other names out there. I know he got some good names like Chisora. Can't even think right now.
Right.
That was a good win over the guy that busted his eye up. He showed a lot of heart in that fight too. He buckled down and he fought inside, and I can't think of the guy Otto Wallen.
Mm.
You know, I'm not saying he has great skill. I think he's the more natural boxer out of the other two because he's been fighting a lot longer. It's just natural. He has the fluidity, and everything, the foot movement. But it's more to boxing than just saying I beat the two top guys. It's got to be depth with it. It's got to be some in between. It's not just you come around. I beat the top two guys or the top three guys. It's part of a boxer's CV is the depth that's in between.
Yeah, I hear you. Let me just go to the chat for a sec, Lisa. Is that cool, yeah? So Tyson would beat Deontay Wilder easily. So yeah, some people believe that Mike Tyson, ferociousness, the way he would come in, and like Lisa said, breaking down your body, breaking down your ribs, Deontay Wilder would have been there for the taking for Mike Tyson. If Wilder gets knocked out, he will go completely insane. That's what Hawker Mustang said.
No, I think Wilder's gonna come. I think he's gonna be a lot more competitive this time. New trainer.
Mm.
When you look at the training, I mean, it's all gonna come together in the ring. So I think it's gonna be a lot more competitive this third fight.
Yeah. You know
And both
what I
their
think though?
bodies have had time to heal up.
Yeah. I think though, you know what most people are in awe of? I think they're in awe of fighters, like in just their personality. You see, if we want to talk about personalities, there was nobody bigger personality than Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was
Yeah.
the one self-promoting machine that you could never get in this world. So when you talk about people, especially when they come from the old school era, like we've had the Troys, the Bruces, and the old school eras today who loved the old school boxing. Of course,
Yeah.
that personality of Muhammad Ali, even Mike Tyson, the evil, mean machine Mike Tyson was, that
Yeah.
myth, that legendary aura of when they were in their prime, it kind of like sometimes, you know what I mean? That's the kind of fighters that they relate to more.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you look at the fighters today, they're different. They're not cut from that cloth. Does that kind of make sense, Lisa?
Yeah, but I have to say that Wilder and Fury do have two personalities that are like good for that as far as boxing, as far as like Wilder has the slogans and the cliches, the things that he say. Fury, he has a way of, like being clever and everything with interviews and they both like larger than life personalities.
Yeah.
So that's why it makes like the oppressors is always gonna be like, you know.
My thing is this though. If Fury starts to do more in boxing and he does beat Wilder and he does get the undisputed fight, I feel like
Mhm.
people just don't want this fighter to be that guy. I feel like a lot of people they don't really relate to Tyson Fury. And I think at the end of the day, even if somebody keeps it real about it, some people don't want to get involved in that because they don't really give Tyson Fury that. They don't acknowledge him like that guy because he doesn't even look like a heavyweight. Some people think, like he doesn't even have a six pack or eight pack. He doesn't have those broad shoulders, those broad muscles. He doesn't really represent that baddest man in the planet look kind of look. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Um, I don't know because I see he gets a lot of coverage on well, of course he's gonna get coverage there on ESPN. I see a lot of people giving him props. They just calling him the number one heavyweight. Um, you know, um, I mean, you got some people that don't think that, but you got to look at the other side too. I see a lot of people giving him a lot of props.
Yeah, I think it's a divided boxing world in the way that they look up to a fighter today. They like a Mike Tyson kind of a mean machine look. They like that kind of
Mhm.
an aura where the hip hop people are always looking up to that kind of a fighter. They like that kind of a Anthony Joshua, the body of an Anthony Joshua. You know what I'm saying? Where the way man looks strong. I think it just depends. Divided boxing world. I just feel like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's a different era. It's a different time. A fighter that doesn't look like the greatest outside is the one who's one of the best, and he's beating up
right.
people with the muscles and the ones who look that good. It just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? We're living in a different kind of in a different era of boxing, and we can't really be hateful to the
Right.
fighters today and say, oh, they're not shit. Like Troy. One thing I like about Troy, he knows boxing, but he likes to kind of like speak about the boxing of today's era, like, oh, they're not that special. Oh no, they don't do nothing much. They're not that great. I mean, at the end of the day, they're the same fighters going in there in the ring, risking their lives, giving you the best of the boxing today. You can hate on Deontay Wilder, but he's giving you the fights now. You can hate on Tyson Fury, but they're getting this trilogy on now. You can hate on Anthony Joshua, but he is the guy with a free weight world. I mean, he's got three different titles right now: the WBO, the WBA, and the IBF. So you can hate on these guys, but they're the best of this era. So you can't
Yeah.
tell me that if these fighters end up being the best of this era, that they're not going to go down as some greats. In the history book, they will still go down as some greats.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
I'm
I
sure
think.
they will. Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah, I'm
think.
sure they will. Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I just think it's people, for me, well, Troy, he's more of probably the 80s, 90s, maybe that era, but I guess because people fought real hard back then, or I mean, well, they fought harder than now. So the whole business of boxing has changed. So we saw boxing be reduced to kind of like in the background. It's sad to say, like it's not top as far as ESPN news, like far as boxing stories, unless it's like a big fight, like with Wilder and Fury. Like they talk about the big fights, or with uh Pacquiao and Spence. They mainly talk about the big fights, but they don't really talk about boxing as a whole anymore. And it's like on the last page, the newspaper or whatever, so to say. But it's kind of sad that has happened. So,
Yeah, I think
but we,
also we got to look at it as this way, right? That a lot of people in the boxing world today, they have a different kind of a outlook of boxing today, and
hmm
especially if they're older than us, they have a different outlook to us because we didn't actually live through the Mike Tyson era. I was a bit too young. I had to watch him later on in his fights. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't totally live when he was right live. Yeah, I watched it later on. I got into boxing, but some of us didn't live through Sugar Ray Leonard era. Some of us did definitely never lived through the Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, George Foreman. We didn't live through that era. We had to
yeah. I
watch them and
remember
watch
them
them.
all. I
Oh, you
remember
did?
them all. Yes, I was a little girl when Ali was fighting. I was young when Sugar Ray was fighting. I remember them all. Pernell Whitaker, all of them. Um, Jerry Cooney when he fought what's his name? The guy that jabbed real good. Yeah. Did all of those fights. I remember them very well. Um and you know what? It's sad. You know what? You guys, listen, kudos to all you guys, all you content creators, because you guys are keeping boxing alive.
Yeah, I love the sport of boxing. I even listen. I think Deontay Wilder's a specimen. I think
hmm
Anthony
Oh
Joshua's the
yeah.
most underrated heavyweight. And I do think Tyson Fury's a special fighter. I think all
hmm
these fighters are great fighters. I've still got the same spirit for the fighters of today than just the ones before them. Like, the Mayweather's time, the Lennox Lewis, all that kind of time. I still
Right.
support these guys.
Right.
You know what I mean? These guys are bringing the sport to me. I'm not going to downplay my sport. My sport needs all the help it can get. We've already got
hmm
people which are downplaying our sport. I ain't got time for that shit.
I think a lot of people, it's just I don't know, rap star. It's just too many variables. Um, a lot of people left to go to UFC or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's just so many things. I can't tell you when it turned with boxing, but I could just tell you I do know I don't see, like growing up you used to see a lot of boxing gyms. I mean they're still around, but I don't see them like I used to. They used to put a lot of funds was allocated for boxing. That's far and few between now. Uh,
Mm.
Olympics. It's not there was a lot of funds. It's just different, as far as that. That's what I was saying. I feel like I don't like they turn their back on it in a sense, like funds, like these amateurs, they don't get money like that. So, they need equipment, they need gear, they need boxing gloves, they need this, they need that. So it starts there.
Mm. Hey, let me just, yeah, I get what you're saying. And I'm going to go to the chat in a sec because Stephen4722 says, Rap star, as far as Anthony Joshua goes, he could have threatened Mike Tyson with that jab. And the uppercut, I don't count AJ out, but I think Mike would get inside and land, and I don't think AJ would be able to take Mike Tyson's power. Now,
Mm-hmm.
my thing was this though: Vladimir Klitschko got some serious power,
Mm-hmm.
but Anthony Joshua could take his power. And Vladimir Klitschko was much bigger than a Mike Tyson. So I don't know. Maybe, the 5'10" Mike Tyson would have been able to rattle Anthony Joshua. Would he have been able to put him to sleep? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Anthony Joshua never been asleep, even in the Klitschko fight when he came back. And when even in Andy Ruiz, he actually lost the fight standing up, Lisa.
Well,
He wasn't knocked out.
The way I look at it is this: Larry Holmes, one of the best jabs ever. He went pretty far with Tyson when they fought. I mean, he didn't just come in and just get knocked out in the first or second round. But I'll say this: if Larry Holmes' jab didn't neutralize Mike Tyson, I don't think AJ would. But I'll say this: as far as I just think that Mike Tyson would just come in there. He would smother AJ. Just fast, too explosive.
No, facts. I think Mike Tyson just had some different skill set as well. He was hard to catch in his prime. And he had a granite chin. But, again, it's a very hard comparison. It's a different time of boxing. Mike Tyson just was a much bigger name. He was just a huge name.
Right.
He was just he was like, everybody in the world was talking about this guy, Mike Tyson, when he was in his time. Hollywood stars were talking about this guy. They were like all in awe of this guy, Mike Tyson, man. He was a massive name when he came into the game. I still have Lennox Lewis above a lot of the heavyweights. You agree with that, Lisa?
Yeah. Far as well, he was the last undisputed, so he's definitely going to rank higher in that sense. But yeah, he Lennox fought a lot of people too. He fought everybody that he could fight. He really did.
Lennox Lewis is one of the most underrated heavyweights. Lennox Lewis achieved everything. He beat the people who beat him. Lennox Lewis is actually one of the greatest, if you think about it. Because he beat some of the biggest names. Now, he beat those names. He never lost to those names. He beat those names in Evander Holyfield. He beat Mike Tyson. He beat all the other guys. He beat Vitaly Klitschko. He beat some big fucking names. He beat Frank Bruno. He beat all the names when he was coming up. All those other names in Crusher Smith and everybody else who come with
Ruddock. Yeah.
Ruddock. He beat, I don't know if did he fight David Tua? No, right? Or he did?
Yeah, he fought him.
He beat David Tua, right?
Yeah.
He beat everybody. And even the people that Lennox lost to, he beat them. So Lennox Lewis will definitely go down higher than Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
He has to. There would be all hating if you were to say anything else. To me, Lennox Lewis is a much more accomplished and a very skilled fighter. And he used his size to the maximum of his advantage. I think Lennox Lewis beats most of these fighters today. He got a good chance to beat Anthony Joshua. He got to easily beat Deontay Wilder. Lennox Lewis is the man who beat Tyson Fury more convincingly to me.
Right.
I feel like.
I put everything factored everything that you said. But see, the thing is, Mike Tyson made history. So that's one thing that
Lennox Lewis made history in a way that he became undisputed, but it's just Tyson did it when he was a young kid.
No. By him becoming undisputed was not history.
The
Mike
youngest.
Tyson made history by being the youngest.
That's what I meant. The
But,
youngest guy
but
to do it.
right, but just because you are undisputed don't mean you make history. What makes history, the Guinness Book of World History, is you break a record. He broke Floyd Patterson's record. You get what I'm saying?
Mm. So he
Right. So
broke.
that's historical. You know, like who, like with this four belt division now. That's a historical thing. Like whoever gets the you know things like
Hey,
that. Something that nobody else has done, or you break the record. That's what I mean.
I mean, I guess Tyson Fury. I mean, I'm sorry. I guess that Mike Tyson did it when he was a young guy, but Lennox Lewis achieved more than Mike Tyson overall in boxing, and he became the greatest. Like you could see, Lennox Lewis, he achieved everything, man. He achieved everything towards the end of his career, and he went out winning. He went out
Mhm.
winning, and he went out beating the best of the best.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I mean? So overall, Lennox Lewis's career is golden when it comes to
hmm
achievements on record.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's one of the all-time greats. Yeah, if you put him in top 10 or top, yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah,
You have to.
but
You would have to speak Lennox Lewis's name. The way I look at it, he has to be spoken about. There's no ifs.
yeah, it's so many. Yeah, it's just and with him, he gained his respect. He wasn't very well liked here in America either, but he came to American soil and beat a lot of American ass. That's when he got his respect.
Yeah, I hear you. So this is what Steven says. Lennox slept Ruckman the first fight. He come in at a career heavyweight in a heaviest, and he paid for it. So when Lennox lost to Ruckman, he was not focused. They're saying he came at his heaviest ever, and he came back and knocked that guy out. So that's a big achievement, The guy who beat you and knocked you out, you come back and knock him out, right? So that was a good. Lennox did that. Yeah,
Yeah,
he did.
and he retired. Yeah, he he avenged all his losses. Correct? Yeah.
Yeah, facts. I'm just gonna go to the chat before I leave the building soon. So I want to see what the chat's going on with. Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about Pacquiao Spence later, bro. To be honest, everybody's getting off subject. Okay, Steven says AJ has a solid resume if he beats Usyk and Fury. People got to have to take him seriously. If AJ beats Alexander Usyk and he beats Tyson Fury, you better start calling his name in one of the greats. Hey, I don't disagree with you. This is our era. This is the boxing that we're talking about. So if AJ does achieve that, AJ does become one of the greats. And that's a fact. It just is the era that he's got. You can't hate on the man's era as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, but I mean, you can only. I just look at it like these guys will be great for this era, but the measuring stick. See, that's the thing. It's just like it's always, oh, my music was better in my era. My fighters were better in my era. That's just how it is, unfortunately.
Well, a lot of people think Alexander's really good enough, just like Peter says, is that he will stay there for 12 rounds. There's not AJ's not getting rid of Usyk. He's got to beat him and he's got to maybe, hurt him in the fight where he's got to get him out of game plan. But they don't reckon he's going to be able to knock Usyk out because Usyk is that good. As a cruiserweight, he's one of the best. But coming into
Yeah.
heavyweight, he's got the skills and the understanding to how to survive in a fight.
Yeah, that's true. Should be an interesting fight. Yeah,
Hawker
definitely.
Mustang says Larry Holmes got his arms trapped into the ropes when Mike Tyson almost knocked his head clean off. Holmes was already retired, came back to fight Mike Tyson, not in his prime.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah. That's true. Yeah.
I said the same thing there, for sure. And that's a fact. Hawker says, I bought Mike Tyson Punch Out video game on Nintendo when I was a little kid. Hey, I remember there's a game here for Mike Tyson Punch Out. That was one of the biggest games in Nintendo when Nintendo was launched. That was
Yeah, I
one of the
remember.
biggest ever games that every kid wanted Mike Tyson Punch Out. And that's a fact. That's
Yeah,
a
I was
true
working
fact.
at the mall then, and it was the holiday time,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody bought the last one. And it
Oh,
was a
shit.
big fight. It was a big fight
Mm.
in the toy store. I can't. This is a true story. They were fighting over that game, and the person that got the last one, the other person, yeah, it was a mess. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I remember it was the hottest thing ever, that game. Mike Tyson Puncher. And
Yep.
Mike Tyson was one of the heavyweights who achieved so much and lost so much because he had people in the middle that you couldn't trust. But his purse and his money that he was getting was record breaking money. The man had over $300 million at one point. Could you believe that, Lisa? A young
Yeah,
kid like that,
yeah.
was ruling the world. He was like ruling the world at one point. He was buying lions. He was buying tigers. He was buying
Yeah.
cars from all over the world. Mike Tyson had every collection that you could have got, even as like you look at the kind of things that the man was owning. He was the Michael Jackson. It was out of him and Michael Jackson, wasn't it? The two biggest
Yeah.
names at that time.
Oh yeah, I remember very well.
Yeah.
I remember very well, boy.
Yeah, he actually came with that power, trying to show you a man can own a tiger. Man's got big gold chains around him, the best cars in
Yeah.
the world. Mike Tyson was never shy. He put it all out there.
He sure did.
So Tony Boswell, respect to Tony Boswell. Thanks for coming through to the channel today, man. Everyone smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Tony Boswell says, I got AJ stopping Usyk between 6 to 9 rounds. AJ is at the most athletic level in those rounds. After that, he ends to gas. If Usyk can make it from after the 9th round, I will have to go to decision. That's actually a good breakdown. That's a good breakdown of that fight. Peter says, I think about Usyk is he's as a 12-round fighter. Yeah, Usyk is more of a smart fighter, uses all his abilities. He doesn't care if he doesn't get you out. He's going to try and make sure he wins those rounds, and he's going to win those rounds convincingly. And he's going to make sure he try and win that fight, even if it means that he's just going in there for that game plan. He ain't going for a knockout.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. If he gets a knockout, it's a bonus, but he definitely ain't fighting for a knockout. Let's put it that way.
Well, he's bulking up now, so I see he's gotten bigger. Yeah.
So Jeff Lucita says, it's a shame we don't know where Ike Abichu, what's his name? Abichu. I forgot how to fucking...
Ayabuchi.
Ayabuchi, that's it. I remember that fight. He was a bad mofo, that guy. Yeah, Ike Ayabuchi would have ended up, I think he would have beaten a lot of the fighters. Yeah, Ike Ayabuchi was a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, the president, right? Didn't they call him that?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came in left, innit? Something happened to him, innit?
I think he went to prison or something. I can't remember what happened. That fight he had with David Tool was a classic. They I think that more punches was thrown ever in that fight, as far as the heavyweights, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Tony Boswell says, "I like Andy Ruiz. He just doesn't believe in himself, and that's what he is looking for a trainer." What do you mean, Andy? Which Andy? Andy already got a trainer in it.
Um, he he's trying to I guess he's going through a transition with
Mm.
new trainers, and he's training with uh the guy that trains Canelo. Um, so he's going through a transitional period. He has to acclimate to the perfect weight, uh, and so many other things. Yeah, get the proper nutrition where he's at his peak.
Yeah.
So in the first fight, you may not have seen. I mean, he got the nod, but maybe he was a little weakened by the weight loss. I'm not sure. But it's they got to tweak it out.
Facts. That's right. Egg-shaped form says, "Remember, Emmanuel Stewart said Tyson will be the next great champion if he stabilizes himself, and that Wilder would be great if he learned how to box. And Wilder never ever learned better to box or tried to learn boxing, just kept learning and kept, growing with his power. Just kept believing in his power instead of learning how to box more. When Emmanuel Stewart kind of recognized Wilder when he was a kid, when he was younger, and he said that if Wilder learns how to box, he'd be better. So that was already recognized years ago. That people don't pay attention to. The most professional people knew that Deontay Wilder was his own worst enemy if he doesn't learn how to do a few more better stuff, or if he learns a bit more stuff as his jab,
Hmm.
or learns to, keep that discipline and not keep that distance and not be able to be there for the taking all the time, he'd probably be a better fighter. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think that what was you just saying?
That Deontay Wilder was recognized when he was younger by Emmanuel Stewart when he
Yes,
said that
yes,
he's got good punching power, but he just needs to learn how to do a bit more better in boxing skills, and that was
yeah,
recognized a decade ago.
yeah. He did mention Wilder and Fury. He sure did.
Mm. Yeah, he did. So he already knew because see, some trainers they can see special things in fighters. It only
Right.
takes them a few rounds and a few, sparring matches to know how good these fighters are. And he already predicted that these fighters will become world champions. And he said some will become great. So he wasn't wrong. You know what I'm saying? Emmanuel Stewart was not wrong. He knew what he was talking about. But look,
Yeah.
Lisa, on that note, it's been amazing having you here, sis. You know what I mean?
Oh, always a pleasure. Yeah.
Thanks for
I
coming
hope
on,
I
man.
didn't bore you guys to death.
Hey, I appreciate you, Lisa. You always bring that knowledge from the past. You're one of the queens of boxing. We always appreciate you and having your woman's point of view, and you speak up for the women. Not to say you're in a man's sport, because we do talk a lot more about men. It shows me, you know what I mean? At least we've got people like you with a different opinion.
Right. Hey, you got the guys have to. You got a lot of you guys watch boxing with your dad. So did I.
Yeah,
That was
for
the
sure.
thing back when I was a kid. Boxing was so big. I used to just sit there and watch it too. I didn't even know what I was watching, but I knew it was something great, so I
Yeah.
became a fan.
Hey,
Yeah.
I just want to give a big shout out from Rapstar. Smash that like button. We had egg-shaped foam in the building. Stephen 4722. Peace out to you. Jeff Lucita. Jeff, I'll catch you on the next one, my brother. D Hodges, the only one and only who speaks his fucking mind. D Hodges. We got Jonathan Ramirez. Jonathan Ramirez, thanks for coming through, bro. And yeah, man, Bruce Goes. Let's not forget about Bruce Goes, a big Mike Tyson fan. Hey, I'm a big Mike Tyson fan. I get it, Bruce. You can't go against the one and only Iron Mike Tyson, bro. And Peter Von Ros. Peter, man, you take it easy, bro. I'll catch you on the next live. Yeah, man, everybody else who came through, thanks for coming through to Rapstar today, bro. We're going to catch you guys soon on the next live. Hey, like I said, if these fighters today, they start to achieve what they achieve and they become undisputed, hey, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, they can still be the greats. I think Tyson Fury is the guy out of all of them. That's my opinion. But Lisa, thanks for you coming through, man. We catch you on the next live as well.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, we appreciate all of you guys, man. We'll catch you on the next live. But for right now, like I said, this is the heavyweight scene, what we got, and we got to stand by the heavyweight scene, what we have right now. We out of it. Peace out. God bless you all.
Peace. Peace.